What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 10 of Fantasy in Progress, a Put in Progress podcast. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. Welcome, everybody. It's been a little bit, but we're back, and we've all went through Endwalker. That's why we kind of took a little bit of a hiatus from the show. Just we wanted to get through the entire story instead of doing like episodes with like within the weeks and stuff like that, because it just would kind of feel disjointed after a while, and getting through the entire expansion would probably be the best way we wanted to tackle this. So we got our usual suspects here. We got Fee. How you doing, Fee?
I am doing absolutely great, and I'm really excited to sit down and actually talk about Endwalker.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited. Frank, how you doing?
Good, man. I'm good. I'm back from all the therapy I needed after playing Endwalker.
Oh wow, no. And for the first time on any kind of point in progress content at all, we got Gino. How you doing, Gino?
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for having me. I've cried all my tears. I'm ready to finally talk about Endwalker.
Hell yeah.
There were so many tears, man. So many tears. Sometimes I'm just like, guys, just stop, man. I can't cry anymore. I can't cry anymore.
They're so mean, you know.
Yeah. Just give me like 10 minutes, man. Just give me 10 minutes. But yeah, we're gonna go through all of from the start of Endwalker all the way to the end of it, because this is the conclusion of the 8-year story that they've been talking about, and then at the end we'll kind of go over our what we think is gonna be where we're gonna be going after this, because when 6.1 drops, the new MSQ is dropping, and we're gonna kind of see where we're headed for 7.0. But before we get in there, I just want to go over everybody's their favorite jobs in the game. So we haven't talked to each other on the podcast in a while, so I just want to go over that again, and if anything has changed for your job during Endwalker itself. So I want to go to Fee first. What you're still rocking the Dark Knight?
Yes, very much so. So yeah, I've just been playing Dark Knight. I have been branching out a little bit. I did get my Red Mage up to 81. Woo, progress. So I've been really enjoying that as well. But I've been really focusing on Dark Knight just because of the story, also as well just being able to get like used to the rotation. I've always been kind of focused on like trying to improve how to play my Dark Knight, but especially since we are now doing raids, it's been something that I've been like wanting to take kind of like the next step is the best way to put it. So for sure, Dark Knight's still my number one. But I also, since we've last recorded the podcast, I started an Astro.
Yes, Astro is a lot of fun.
Astro's a lot of fun. There are times where I'll just like stand in Charlene and play guess what card I'm about to pull, and then just like people in my group, I'll just throw a card on them. I'm like, which card do you think I'm gonna get? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, here you go. And then I would just like throw cards on them. So it's just a matter of guessing and figuring out who gets what. Mind you, it is still a little bit jarring. I used to heal a lot in World of Warcraft. And so going from a one type of healing to another, it's always kind of like a learning curve. But yeah, the cards are a lot of fun. I think that's what really drew me to the actual class overall.
Heck yeah, nice. Frank, still living that machinist life?
Yeah, I'm still shooting people, man. They gave me a shotgun this time around, and I can't stop shooting people now. I've been playing Machinist. Still playing Machinist. I started leveling up on Marauder a little bit just to kind of like get into like the groove of trying something new. But for the most part, a lot of my time since when we started Endwalker, other than Machinist, because I think I'd leveled that up to like 90 in like the first week, because of Boja and all that. But all my time went into leveling up all the crafters because I decided to get into the crafter boom this time around. So like over melding, leveling up all the crafters to 90, so we could make some actual money in the game. And we basically all of us have become rich at this point because of our level 90, either our level 90 crafters or all the hunt trains we've been doing. We've amassed a good amount of wealth now. It's weird to have $10 million in my bank account, which when I swear to God, the week we started doing the crafting and everything like that, I was like scrounging up with 10 grand there was at some point I hit my lowest point when I couldn't teleport. I was in Alda and I was stuck there for a minute because like I had no money to teleport. Now we're $10 million in. So it was all worth
the
it.
True rag to riches story right there. The true
rag to riches. And also, fuck overmelding. It is bane of my existence. I got really lucky and didn't have to spend so much money. But I guarantee you, I'm going to eat it next time around because it's gonna be insane to do that all over again.
Yeah, overmelding can suck depending on luck itself. Yeah. Gino, what is your favorite job? What did you change jobs when you got into Endwalker? It looks like you did.
So what I do with every single expansion, I did it with I didn't do it with Heaven's Word. Oh yeah, I did do it with Heaven's Word. What I do is every single expansion, I get the new jobs and I level them all the way up to max.
Nice.
And that's what I did with this one. And then that's when I decide, okay, what do I want to be? Do I want to stick with what I was before, or do I want to do these new jobs? So with Endwalker specifically, I wanted to stick to Sage. But I loved Dancer so much from Shadowbringers because that's what I started with in Shadowbringers. And I was like, you know what? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through the story as my Dancer, and then just level Sage on the side, and then see how I feel at the end here.
Yeah.
And I can't really say that I have a main or anything, man. I really do love Sage. That's what I'm usually using. But if I'm gonna go into some really hard content where I still get, panicky trying to heal. You know, so especially as Sage, that's like you have to more with Sage you have to know more what's gonna happen before stuff happens.
That job, the first week, or not even the first week, the first like 3 or 4 dungeons that I did with that, I just could not get used to Sage healing because it's so different compared to everything else. Because you actually have to use your OGCDs like so much more than any other.
That,
yeah,
and I never did that with like I do use my OGCDs, but I didn't really feel I didn't do it like that. Job made me so much more active in knowing every single thing that I have to do.
Yeah.
To like properly use the job, and that's why I started liking it as a healer specifically. I thought it was pretty fun. But I my favorite jobs right now are of course my Dancer, and I love the Warrior, dude. The Warrior too.
Is it because it's broken, or is it because
it's because it's just like the the Arcanist, so you could be a summoner and a scholar. Warrior, you could be a warrior and some sort of healer as well.
Some sort of healer.
So Warrior's crazy, but I love me my Dancer, man.
Yeah,
my Dancer, dude.
Nice.
You must have been happy after this last patch.
Oh yeah, I didn't even. No. It was funny because I actually found out through a hunt train. Because I didn't look at the patch notes. I didn't know they were doing potency changes. And they were like, yeah, Dancer got super buffed. And I was like, what do you mean? And then I looked it up and I was like, holy moly.
Out of all the jobs, they got the most buffs. I think they got like almost a 6% buff compared, and then like that's what they got. And then they got the biggest buff out of everybody, which was awesome. I mean, they needed it. They really did need it. As much utility that they have, and now they actually have some damage as well. So that's really, really nice.
Very happy.
Yeah, I'm a paladin main from all the way from ARR. I have never changed in any raid tier. I've always been a paladin, even through Heaven's Ward. When everybody made fun of us, I was still a paladin main. But I am a person that plays through all the jobs. So I have every job 90 at the moment. So I went through all of them and just wanted to learn them all and just see how they played and stuff like that, and kind of get my own kind of thought on all of the jobs and what jobs to never play again, aka Ninja. Never again. Never again.
Ninja's called out. You hear that, Mako?
Ninja, and there's some other jobs too. I don't think I'd rather be Bard than any other ranged DPS right now.
Bard is super fun right now.
Yeah, because I like
I've heard good things about Bard.
I like the busyness of Bard a lot. And then for healers, it would be either Sage or Astro. I really like Astro. Astro just has too many buttons right now. That's the only problem. Too many buttons. And then
Oh, and another one I actually really like is a Summoner now. I feel like they have very few buttons.
It's great, isn't it? It's great.
Yeah, and they do a lot of stuff too.
Yeah.
So it's freaking incredible.
Oh
It's
man, I couldn't remember a 2-minute opener back then. Now it's just just go in order of the colors.
Exactly. I thought it was pretty great.
It's great. It's great. But yeah, so we've all been through Endwalker. So we're gonna go through spoilers. It's all gonna be a spoiler podcast. So if you guys have not played through Endwalker, come back later, go through Endwalker, cry all your tears, then come back, and we're gonna be here. So first and foremost, we go to the one place that we've been teased forever, a place that we have been. That they have talked about for 8 fucking years. And we finally go to Charlene. What are you guys like? So Fee and Frank started this game about 6 months ago. Okay.
Yeah.
When did you start, Gino?
Yes.
I started in 2014.
Okay, so when ARR was a thing, right?
It was just AR, yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna probably have 2 different perspectives here with them just playing for 6 months and us playing for 8 years because of how much they've talked about this at the very beginning of the game, and we're just like, when do we ever go to this land? Does this land even exist anymore? We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So Fee, I want to start with you. What was your reaction going into Charlene?
So going into Charlene, I was very excited. I'm going to be honest. As we've talked about at length on this podcast, I am essentially a refugee from the once great MMORPG Final Fantasy 14. Not Final Fantasy 14, but
I was gonna be like, that's what we're playing.
World of Warcraft.
All on your mind. All on your mind. It's the only thing on your mind. It's okay.
I quit. Yeah, exactly. So World of Warcraft, I played that for 5 years. I'm going to be honest, Charlene kind of gave me slight Stormwind vibes, if you know the game. That is the Human Alliance area. So it had like the large white bricks and just the overall vibe of like everything's good here, but there's something going on, which definitely has always been the kind of vibe going on in Stormwind as well. But it was gorgeous. Just being able to go in and being able to see this whole other side of the game that we haven't really been able to before, especially with some of the scions being associated with this location. It's been a place that has been in talks about, and I believe, was it in Heaven's Ward that we saw the original like the camp that they had?
Idleshire.
Yeah.
In Idleshire. So kind of being able to see the infamous Charlene was really exciting. Also, we got to see it in the opening trailer for the game. So yeah, no, it's a very pretty city. Also, just gonna say, it has one of the closest marketplaces /
oh my god,
retainer
oh my god,
bells. So it is now my favorite. It is probably going to permanently stay as my I was Kugane all the way. The second I got into Kugane, I'm like, this is perfect. One, it's it is not the craziness that is Limsa, and it also has a very close market board, so I'd always used to go there because it was really chill, at least for me, because I started 6 months ago, so wasn't in the peak of Stormblood. But no, I was really excited to be able to get in, and also just now being able to adventure around the city.
Heck yeah. Nice. Yeah. It is one of the I was gonna put a little bit injecting my own thing. It is one of the nicest cities in the game. And seeing like being in the city and just hearing the music. I that and Razathan, which we're gonna talk about a little bit later, are the 2 of my favorite zones just chilling in, because the music just makes those zones, in my opinion. It just makes those zones. Plus it snows in Charlotte, so that's kind of nice too. Yeah. Okay, Gino, I'm gonna go to you since we're gonna alternate this. So okay. I'm gonna go to you next. Going into Charlene, what did you think?
So what the first idea, I guess, it's hard for me to remember because I have been playing for 8 years. So going back to like A Realm Reborn and trying to remember every single story beat is difficult. But remembering hearing about Charlene and then going back to Idleshire and knowing that's where they broke off or whatever and all that stuff, and then like seeing how destroyed it was, I wondered what it would look like, complete or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then we always knew that Alice and Alphino are from Charlian, and then Grahatia too, I think, and then Ishtola and Karl and everyone from like are students of the what is it, Baldessian
Annex? Yeah, Baldessian. Yeah, school Baldessian.
So like having all these characters connected to that place, I never thought of Charlian as like, I thought of it as like historical, as a historical place, not as a place that existed now. So when they at the end they said at the end of Shadowbringers, when they were like, all right, you guys gotta go to Karl saying I have to go to Charlian, I was like, oh my god, so we're gonna like, it's real, like it's a thing now, place? Like there's people there, and then so
are they archaeologists?
And then when we see the first trailer, or no, actually at the end of Shadowbringers, when you see freaking Alice and Alphino's dad, I'm like, oh my god, we're freaking gonna finally meet their dad, and like, this is crazy, dude. So I was just freaking out, like on the boat to go to Charlotte.
Yeah.
I was like, this is gonna be great, because every single time that we go into like a new location, in every expansion, and then you hear the narration, and then like they start talking about the city and all that stuff or whatever, and our adventure throughout it. It's like, it always like it puts a tear in my eye, because this is going to be a new place that I'm going to spend years in now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Charlian being that first place, that it's such a beautiful city. I think I would still put it behind Kugane for me. I love Kugane so much. And I actually went recently, doing like S ranks and stuff. I've gone through areas in Stormblood, and I forgot how much I genuinely liked the areas in Stormblood, like Yangsha and the Azim Steep or whatever step.
Yeah.
I love those areas so much. But Charlian really is, it's my home city now. I love just being there. The music, like you mentioned too, especially like the night theme and stuff like that, it's such a soothing place to be. But finally going somewhere that I thought was not around anymore, I thought was extremely cool. And we have seen that, and we see that more in this expansion, where places that we thought weren't around anymore are there, like Garlemald, I guess.
I had the opposite effect on Garlemald, where I was like, we're gonna go to Garlemald and see what the city is. The city just doesn't exist because it's been destroyed at this point. So I had like the opposite effect on that, because like I knew that Charlene was like this prestigious place where you have all the books, and like they keep their history very like close to their chest, so they know what their what their history is and where they've been. And then Garlemald, I was just kind of like, man, I can't wait to go to that city. I can't wait to see what the city looks like and stuff like that. That place is like, there's nothing left really. So I was, I was coming in with a different perspective when it comes to that.
Yeah.
How about you, Frank? You with your rose tinted glasses. No, I don't know what. There's no rose tinted glasses, but you coming into Charlotte. What was your reaction?
Song of Hope. She dances on her wings higher. No, this place is fucking. That place was so cool. Honestly, out of all the, it's weird because we obviously don't have the hype that everybody had with their 8-year wait of Charlene, right? Because it's been teased up like as far back as ARR, you would see like ruins of Charlene. Even in Heaven's Ward, you would get in the Foundation area or the Idleshire area, you would get like Idleshire gear and stuff like that. Oh, sorry, Idleshire gear, Charlene gear that you would they would recycle later on, obviously in the new expansion. But it was teased so long. But for us, at least for me and Fee, it's only been like 6 months, so it was still kind of fresh in your mind. Like, you know, Charlene is there. We kind of I think we were already kind of knowing that we were gonna go to Charlene in the new expansion anyway. But I wasn't expecting it to be as sophisticated and as beautiful as it looks compared to every other location we've visited in Final Fantasy 14. Like Foundation's nice, but it's rustic, right? Like Ul'dah is nice, but it's kind of like, you know, there's crime, there's thieves, there's pirates and stuff like that. Same thing with Same thing with all the other areas. They all have their like big like looks to them, but in the end, they're all kind of like not as like high tech or high tier as like when you go to Charlene, you see things like sages with their like high tech little drones that they have, or even just the way people dress. They dress basically like doctors. You know what I mean? They're at a different tier than what's going on in the rest of the world. And it's fascinating to see how that world is kind of reacting to the outside world of like, oh, we have all the technology. We have all the smartest people in the world. We're kind of a step ahead of the world, but we don't really want to do anything about it because we're kind of like closed off to the world because of it. It's a fascinating place, and like everywhere around there is just so cool to explore. Like every now and again when I go to Charlene, I'll just run around in circles. Just to explore the areas, the little cracks and crevices in the back, or even just like the little small little like alleyways you can walk through. I hope they populated a little bit more in terms of like quests and stuff like that, or just things to do in the area. But for right now, like there's just so much area just to explore in this like one little place. And like Fee said, the board is like right there, right next to the Aetheryte. So there's really no point in going to Limsa anymore unless you just like the ERP.
I mean, yeah, exactly. No, the other thing that kind of puts that into perspective is like the one quest where you teleport to Thavnir, and the technology they have to like teleport from one Aetheryte to another Aetheryte, and like the way like even if you've never been to that Aetheryte, so like you could go to one and the other, and then you can actually connect to the one that's in the middle of them, and without actually being there before. Like that kind of proves that like they're just leagues above everybody else that's in the world. Like their technology, their know-how is just so much higher than everybody else's.
Yeah, they're the top 2%.
Yeah, they're the top. Yeah, exactly. They're the top 2%. Yeah, and you know when you meet Alphinaud's Alizé's dad, you know he's the top 2% when he fucking walks in.
That guy walks in like a 2%er, dude.
Yeah, and then he disowns them like 10 minutes later. It's like, what?
It's just like, you're not worthy of my fortune anymore.
Yeah, it's like, all right.
Leaves.
So let's go through some of the next story beats where we go into. So this is where it kind of branches off. You can either go do the Labyrinthos part first, or you can go do the Thavnir part. I'm gonna start with the Labyrinthos part because it is a very interesting area. Because this is not what I expected it to be. Because like they've just created a whole new world down here. Yeah. That is for cultivating, for monster production and stuff like that, and just like it's just like a whole like system that they've created down there with this stuff. And going down that elevator, I was like, what are we gonna get into when we go down this elevator? And like what did you think, Frank? What did you think when you're going down? What is your like your overall opinion of it?
It makes sense for like a place that's so sophisticated to have their own way of testing certain like conditional ways to like change things, like the way they have like their plants set up so then they can like try different plants, or the way they have like monsters there to like see how like different monsters interact with each other, to even just like their like how they like have their like mining ores and stuff like that, like what kind of ore you can get there and everything's just so experimental and very different from like everything else, and again just fuels that knowledge that they have of like, okay, the reason why we know this is because it's right here in our backyard. We don't have to go across the world to see these things live in habitat. We are the habitat, and it's just kind of cool. It's very sciencey. It's very science fiction-y, almost kind of cyberpunk-y almost, where you know you just have all this technology caged into like one little area, and you just have everybody just kind of watching with a glass eye, experimenting on these things.
It kind of reminds me of the Jim Carrey movie. Is it Eternal Sunshine? No,
is it Ventura?
No, is it
Ventura?
Is it the one where his life is getting narrated?
The Truman Show. That's what it kind of reminds me. But the people inside Labyrinthos know that like you can go and leave, and you can go up to the top and kind of stuff like that. But like it kind of reminds me because they have the artificial sun and all that kind of stuff too, and.
If you've ever seen any like the newer King Kong or Godzilla movies, they do something very similar to the monsters in there, where they have like kind of like an experimental dome over them that protect that makes it look like they're in a different habitat than they actually are, which I imagine is what that blue dome around Charlayan does when it's not obviously blue or something like that.
Yeah, because there's still a day and night cycle down there, right? So that's still happening. While we're in there, we get this thing, Gino. We get the Alpus flower.
Yeah,
this is something that I don't think was ever introduced yet in the game, right? This is the first time we
remember. Yeah,
this is what we get introduced to this flower that pretty much like imitates what we're feeling, or it's an empath in a way, which crazy enough is like the seeds, and I didn't see this coming at all. Like I when I saw this flower, I was kind of like, what does this mean? Where are we going with this here?
That's what it's so interesting to me how they could put the tiniest little thing inside the plot, and then that pay off in an extremely huge way.
Yeah.
Which it did. But to go back to Labyrintho specifically, I wish that we never saw a picture of it before, or if they did show us a picture, I wish that went, because in live letters they showed this picture and they said, "Oh, this is an underground area." I wish they never told us it was underground, because if there was, obviously there's some areas that we hadn't seen before, and when you see them, it's that wow moment. But with Labyrintho specifically, finding out that they have this world under Charlayan, and if I had never seen it or known that that's what it was, that would have been the biggest wow moment I had ever had in my life. But because going down the elevator, I know, okay, there's this huge place with like the forest or whatever, all that stuff. Like I know this already.
Yeah.
It would have been awesome to see that as not knowing what it was.
I do agree with you because. Like I get why they showed Thavnir and stuff, because like it's Thavnir and we already know we're gonna go to Garlemald, so that kind of was expected. But yeah, seeing not seeing Labyrinthos would have been kind of cool, because it's like it's something that you don't know that they're doing, and then when you're going down the elevator and they do the pan, it would have been such a oh shit moment.
If it's just this whole thing and you never knew it, that would have been incredible.
And just seeing it like all like, because it's split up into 3 different sections, and just seeing those 3 different sections, be like, man, this place is massive. What is going on in this area?
Yeah, and the other thing I'll always remember Labyrinthos for is the infamous Grape Gate of 2021.
Oh man, RIP the grapes.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, the new grapes don't look any better, really, but
remember them. Remember that they once lived.
Yeah, they just cut off the edges. That's what they cut off the edges.
They sanded them up.
They blobbed it out a little bit.
Fee, what are your thoughts about the area of Labyrinthos?
I think it was very well done. I kind of agree with Gino. I think there could have been a little bit more mystery with it before we headed off into that section. It does, when you mentioned the Truman Show, it does definitely give me that vibe. It also kind of gives me the vibe of like Fallout, where it's just like, here's a safe space where a bunch of people do experiments in a safe, like controlled location. Mind you, Fallout is absolutely absurd to a point where there's areas where people are like surrounded by dolls and people are turning into lizard people, but that's here nor there. Either way, I think it's a very pretty location. I think it makes sense for the people of Charlayan to have some area like that. Mind you, was I shocked about what was happening in the inner circle? Yes. And I'm kind of happy that we don't get to know about that particular point until later on. But it was always kind of just like a point where it was just like, something must be going on in the middle.
It's one of those infamous zones where like they stop you like a quarter way through and be like, nah, you can't go there yet. You have to come back at 89 or whatever, and then you'll unlock the rest of it.
I kind of wish that they did kind of like, and I think it was Ilmig, like in Shadowbringers, where it was even though it was obnoxiously bright, the fog, the fairy fog in that area, it just kind of had it like hidden, like at least not being able to see the center or something was going on, or maybe they had like mini dome across like a particular location so we couldn't get to see that. I know graphically that would be obnoxious and it would not make any sense.
Just a big dome in the
phasing-wise.
middle.
I mean, why not?
Aerodome.
Yeah, they could just be like, this is a place that's is restricted and you can't see it. But no, I think it was overall really cool. It was probably one of actually, I wouldn't even say it was one of my favorites after we went to like it was my favorite at the beginning because I thought it was really interesting. And well thought out. Mind you, I did find it irritating that I couldn't do fates in certain locations for a while, and
Oh
I
my
actually
God,
felt the same
yeah.
way with Thavnir, which we're going to get into in just a minute here. It was just I get kind of frustrated when you were blocked off from certain locations.
Yeah.
It was worse in that area because you had to go through the cave every time if you wanted to go to like the other fates that were a little south.
So annoying.
Yeah. It was at some point I was just like, I'm just gonna wait for the face that just pop up here. The 3 that pop up here, I'm just gonna wait for these.
At that point, I was just like, man, I'm just gonna come back here when we have flying. This is bullshit.
Yeah,
That's what I do. Yeah, I'm not gonna.
yeah. I just want to go through a couple of the story beats that happened in this area. We had the introduction of the Elpis flower here, and then we had the introduction of an NPC that I'm trying to remember his name now.
The courier guy?
The courier,
courier,
yeah. And I forgot what his
fell in love with him.
Yeah, Aaronville. Yeah, Aaronville was his name, yes. Which I still can't like there's always an accent in these Final Fantasy games that I can't fucking nail. And like it was the same thing with the bunny girl in Shadowbringers. She had this like Icelandic
It's like Eastern European because they're
I would say Eastern European.
Yeah.
Spanish almost.
And then Aaronville was the same way. I was like, I can't nail your accent. I don't know what accent you have.
They're both Vera Harv. They're both the same group.
It's fair.
It's
fair.
That's true.
You know what? You are right. You are correct. You are correct.
Big brain.
But yeah, all the stuff that's happening in there, because then we start getting the forums, and we start seeing like the forum is up to no good, or forums doing some weird things around because they're smuggling other stuff in, and we don't know what's going on with that, and like that kind of type thing. And then after we finish those quests, we go to Thavnir. We go to a zone that I was scared that they weren't going to be able to land, because as a person that is in Indian descent, I was kind of I was hoping they would nail this, and they really did. When it came to the NPCs, when they came to the music, and they came to like just how the zones look, especially Razadhan, I think they nailed that entire region there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we go there, and then we go through the whole thing with the Citrop, who is a dragon, who just happens to be a dragon this entire time. I was so surprised. I was like, I did not see that one coming at all. I don't know, Feet. What did you think when all that kind of stuff went down? Like all that kind of stuff went down.
Honestly, it was the best way to kind of describe it is it kind of gave me Studio Ghibli vibes when it came to like the story beats, because there's always something crazy that happens. If you've ever watched a Studio Ghibli film, there's always like a twist and a turn, and then there's like things like a giant baby in an area and twin witches, and that's the whole entire like thing when it comes to Spirited Away. If you haven't watched
Spirited Away. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So no, I think it was really well done. I think that it was a smart play overall, and kind of tying up with Heaven's Ward, because it brings the entire storyline of like the dragons, and I feel as though this entire expansion was kind of trying to bring a lot of different pieces and a lot of parts from different expansions, and I think that was a great opportunity in a way for them to like interject that particular storyline, because he's like, we get to meet that particular character and you get to kind of see a different side in comparison to like Nidhogg that we had to deal with 5 times in Endwalker, like, dude, chill. And to this like dragon who's just like, I'm scared that the people and the humans will not, or my people won't like me because I'm a dragon, or they won't respect me, so I have to do X amount of steps to be able to get like for them to feel safe, because he didn't want to be powerful, he didn't want any of that, he just wanted to protect the people of Thavnir.
Yeah.
And so it was really sad. Like, I remember when you're having that one-on-one with him and you're just like, this guy has no self-respect. And he only he's very selfless compared to other dragons that we dealt with. So it was really refreshing. And also I really like that twist. The second that we saw the dragon, I'm like, yes, this is the types of twists that I want in my expansion.
And
So no,
and the
That
way
was a good one too.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
that moment with Estinian's just like, all right,
because
pull the veil. I could feel the dragon in the room.
yeah, because Astidian knows, right? When there's a dragon present, he's like, there's something different here. There's something weird that's happening.
Man. I freaking love Estinian.
Also, it was weird that a kid was just like, I have a bunch of dragon skills. It's like, kid, where the fuck did you get those?
What's dragon are you pulling this off of? What is this?
I just have a bunch of dragon skills.
My man's the dragon scale courier over here.
Just hoarding dragon scales.
That's not normal, kid. What you doing?
I
You can't just get those. You can't get those on the Charlayan black market.
I love the fact that they interweave the soundtrack of Heaven's Ward into the Endwalker soundtrack. Just like the way that they weave it together, and knowing this is like an Estinian story now. Like we've switched to Estinian and his problem with like dragons, like his very complicated problems with dragons and stuff like that. And then seeing them interact was, man, it was satisfying to watch because you could see the wheels turning in his head, and with Vitra saying like, I need like there's I can't do anything. I'm like I have to do something for my people, and you guys are the only people that can help me with this.
Yeah. Other than continue, Gino.
No, sorry, I just wanted to say because Stinian sort of gave Reacher that confidence also to reveal himself to people.
Yeah.
So they did help each other as well because Estinian, as his hatred for dragons and all that stuff, sort of he found this companion in Vritra that he wanted to spend his time with. And obviously saved the freaking world with. So he did so.
When that one dungeon, or I think it's Von Spotty, when he goes on his back. Yeah, it's dude, let's go.
It's so cool.
It's so cool. But yeah, and then like the obviously the tearjerker moment when Reacher reveals himself and they accept him. I think that's such a beautiful moment with. In that storyline of Thavnir and stuff like that. So I loved it.
Yeah, Stinian's such a good character for all the dragon scenes, especially for Vitra, because the big scare for Vitra is like my people won't accept me, and Estinian's just like, yo, look, I literally hate dragons. I was an on-site dragon killer for a very long time. Dragons literally took everything from me. And even after all that, I learned to put my hatred aside and accept them as equals and as people of this world. And if someone like Estinian is able to do that, anybody is capable of doing that in the world. And so he's just like the perfect character just to like be the delegate to these dragons and everything.
Yeah.
Agreed. And then we also find out here that we can not be tempered because of the scales that Vitra has. And we can use these to get into the towers. So the towers were introduced in Endwalker at the very end. I think it was like the last expansion or the last patch. They started putting the towers up of temperance or tempering people. And so I'm glad we got rid of the towers really quickly in this expansion. Because I was thinking, like, are we gonna go to like zone to zone and just destroying towers? Is that what this whole this is what we're doing? So we get to the first dungeon, is the Tower of Zot. This is a throwback to Final Fantasy IV. This is that dungeon just recreated back in Final Fantasy XIV. What are your guys' thoughts on the dungeon itself? Let's go with
first boss is an ass.
The first boss?
Remember the first boss we had to fight in that thing? It was just absurdly hard for the time, and then the rest of the fights after that were like, this is actually pretty easy.
It was the smaller sister, right? It's the short sister, that we had to face. Yeah, because it was the three sisters that we had to face in that dungeon. For all in all, like honestly, the thing that threw me off on mostly all of Endwalker was how hard everything hit. I did not expect
because of the stat crunch.
Yeah, I did not expect shit to hit hard, and I as a tank, it was tough sometimes. As a healer, because I had to heal Fee as well. It was tough.
Yeah,
it was tough.
Yeah.
So like all in all,
definitely treat you
guys,
like a level 80 player.
Yeah.
At that point.
Do you guys like so? I'm gonna put both towers in one. So we're gonna put the Tower of Babel and the Tower of Zot in one because they kind of are like similar in a way, except like the stuff that happens at the end. Did you guys like these dungeons? Were these dungeons kind of like or did they feel kind of like a filler going into like just kind of pushing the story kind of way, kind of that kind of type thing?
For the Tower of Zot specifically, it's always that hype for the first dungeon that I feel, and I thought the same thing that you thought, Harv. Where okay, so are we gonna have so is every dungeon now gonna be in a new area, and like every dungeon we do is gonna be a different tower or something like that? That's what I thought, because I never when the next dungeon came, I was like, okay, so I did not know this was gonna be a dungeon. So it's always like that it was always like that for me, this expansion. But the Tower of Zot specifically, it was an okay dungeon. It wasn't the strongest, obviously, in the expansion. I do have a particular favorite in the expansion, but as a first dungeon, it did feel hard. Yeah, but for me specifically, I think the hardest first dungeon was Shadowbringers. What was it? The one in Lakeland? I forget what the name of the dungeon is.
Holminster Switch.
Holminster Switch. Yeah, I hate that dungeon. I hate it so much.
Is it because the task lead? Is it because the task lead reveal?
That was crazy, but also that dungeon just is so bright and and
I mean that's a theme. That's a theme of most of the Shadowbringers stuff.
Yeah,
everything's bright.
It really shoved it into your face in that part. And then this one's so dark in comparison to that one. So this one felt cool. It gave me sort of that I don't know, like Metroid-y vibe.
Yeah.
That I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So and yeah, I thought it was pretty a nice first dungeon. And the Tower of Babel as well. That's the one where in Karl mode, right?
Yes, that is the Karl mode. That's the dungeon that we go before we go to the moon.
Okay, yeah, that one was pretty cool.
I love the last boss. Anima is an awesome character, and that's a throwback to Final Fantasy X.
I thought that was going to be a trial.
Me too.
That was going to be a trial.
Honestly, me too.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
We're gonna get to the moon in a little bit here, but first I would ask Fee about her thoughts on the towers, the two towers as they would call them.
I honestly, overall, I could probably take it or leave it. Mostly from a tank perspective, they were just, at least someone who hasn't done a lot of raiding or a lot of harder things when it comes to Final Fantasy 14. I have done some savages and stuff like that, but these seemed particularly more difficult, tanking wise, and also just trying to run. I felt a little bit like a chicken with my head cut off. At least for the first one, the Zot Tower. I agree that it was a little bit odd seeing Emperor Varus as a dungeon boss, just because him turning into a primal and then him being chained up. That's the end of Babel, isn't it?
Babel. That's Anima.
Yeah, that's Anima.
Anima.
That's Anima.
That big monster.
Yeah.
Yeah. This guy can't catch a break. He gets killed by his son, and then he gets changed into a embodiment of a primal because they're just yo, let's brainwash absolutely everybody. So then this guy is just chained up forever. I'm just okay,
let the man rest.
Just let him die. Just let the guy die. Just I don't feel bad for this guy. As someone put, oh my gosh, when I was looking up information on this particular episode, there is a very funny, oh my god, it was a Reddit post someone posted, and it was just the people of Garlemald can suck my big toe. I'm serious, because they're just I don't feel bad for the people of I don't feel bad for specific characters from Garlemald. Including
they're a bunch of assholes.
Yeah,
they're a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, there's just a bunch of things that we'll get into it a little bit later on, but no, I think the towers overall were cool. I am happy that it ended quite quickly. So getting rid of the towers very early on in the story plot I'm happy about that, because I feel as though if we had to go through more towers, I feel like it would come off as a little bit too repetitive. Because it would just be go to new area, take down tower, ta-da, everything's okay, let's go to the new area, fix tower, everything's great. We don't need that. So
True.
it got me more like it definitely had me more excited about the story plot that we got rid of it so early. Because I'm like, okay, that means that there's a lot of bigger things happening.
Yeah, like now what?
Yeah, exactly. It's like now what, right?
Now what?
Yeah, now what?
Yeah.
That's all I wanted. Now what?
The one of the coolest things that I want to talk about just quickly about Garlemald is like I love Garlemald as a zone. I think it is a perfect embodiment of what that place is. Desolate. The people are just looking to survive, and it is as Fallout as you possibly can be in that place. And the music with the radio and everything, and that whole storyline with the dude that shot himself, and like I've never seen that.
Crazy,
that was nuts to me, and that was like that was about because like all of us did it all together, and that was about the end of the night for us for that quest line. And I just sat there for like 5 minutes, like, what the fuck just happened? This guy just shot himself.
Yeah.
I feel like that was one of the most gruesome things that has happened in the story.
Yeah.
As far as I can remember.
Nobody's ever commit like when they commit suicide, it's like they do it for like as a hero, like a heroic thing, right? Like Ysayle does when she does it, or Graha does like 7,000 times. Yeah, it's like a sacrifice. Yeah.
Or the guy who killed himself to summon a primal.
Yeah, remember?
Way back in
dude who took Raban's arm.
Guy who took
Ilberd, yes.
Ilberd.
Yeah.
Quintus Fanchina. Yeah, that guy. Like I remember I was streaming it at the time too, and I'm just like, this man's gonna do it, isn't he? And I'm like, yep. There he goes. There he goes to the drawer. Yep, that's a gun. Yep, rest in peace, dude. He's gonna do it. I'm like, this man, he has seen enough. And then he shot himself, and I'm like, I am shocked, but what the hell just happened?
Yeah,
I get it. Yeah, no, that's crazy.
It's one of those things where he just didn't want to go into because the everybody else is an enemy, right? Everybody that's in Eorzea is an enemy, and if you're not Garlean, then you're the enemy, and you don't want to be associated with them. So he's like, that's it.
Yeah, he stuck with his morals until the end for sure. That's for sure.
He went down with the ship.
The funniest thing about Garlemald was that one of the major plot points there was that these people were suffering because they didn't have ceruleum to power things up or whatever, and they used ceruleum to start their fires as if there's not trees.
Yeah,
what I mean? There isn't trees around.
Yeah, like you guys, like there's firewood, guys. You guys can try to light these things.
Fire burns, guys. I mean, wood burns.
And wood burns. Yeah, that's pretty easy, guys.
I mean, you guys. I think you would be able to figure that out by now, guys.
And that's why it looks like that. So,
yeah.
Can I just say the absolute balls on Yoshi-P and team to hype up Garlemald this whole time, from like when we would see little glimpses of it with the Estinian and what's his name,
Gaius
buddy cop moments that we would see, and you would see little glimpses of it, and we would be told that it's a bustling city, it's huge. You would kind of see it in the background a little bit how big it was, and then by the time we get there, it's just gone. Just
remnants
ashes.
of it.
I mean, like we're hyped to like go there and be like, all right, we're gonna liberate this city, and it's just like, nope, they destroyed themselves in the very end. Like, we didn't even have to do anything.
No, that ceruleum shortage of 2021 kind of fucked him a little bit.
on the general note, so I did get spoiled in one thing in this game, in this whole expansion, and it wasn't even like a spoiler that I could probably figure out. Because it was a picture of just the flag with the blood on it, right? So there was no way to kind of figure out what exactly happened. But once we got there, and what happens to Alizé and Alphino, and I looked in the background, I would see the flag. I'm like, oh fuck. I'm like, the whole time I'm just scared. I'm like, please don't kill either one of these kids, especially in a brutal way, because Yoshi-P had said that they're willing to go there. I'm guessing he was talking more about the suicide of the general than anything, but they said there were places that they were willing to go that you would be surprised they were willing to go. And I thought one of the kids or something was gonna bite it, man.
Just imagine if they did kill one of the twins. Oh my god!
Oh my god, dude!
It'd be riots.
That would be a riot.
Riots.
But the whole time, that whole like little section of there, I was just nervous. I was like, all right, whose blood is that on the flag? And then when I saw the general pick up the gun, like obviously pick up his gun, I was like, okay, this is gonna be one of those like my blood on the flag type deals.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the whole time in Garlemald, I'm just like, man, it's a that whole area is, by the way, like one of the coolest looking areas ever in terms of just like it's just a wasteland.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. It's great.
After that, guys, we go to the place that we've been teased forever. That's the moon.
Heck yeah, baby!
Mare Lamentum.
Oh man.
So this zone is a love-hate relationship that I have a love-hate relationship with this zone. I love this zone just the way it looks. I hate traversing this fucking zone. I hate it. When it had no fly, you have to like go down in the canyons and like come back up onto the other side, and you have to do that every time you went to like a little section around the map. Yeah. It was very annoying. Very annoying.
I was hoping to be bigger, to be perfectly honest with you. Mm-hmm. Like it feels like there's barely any moon to explore, and it's more elaborate area than anything.
It's like a crater. That's really all. That's all you get to really explore.
Yeah, it's like a crater on the moon. I wish there was like more like just more expansive, just like wasteland, just to kind of explore, because it's the moon. It's big. Yeah, I mean, it's not just like one little area.
But I want to talk about the big thing that happens where we fight Zodiark in this trial. I was like, what? We're doing this already? We're already gonna fight Zodiark where Fandaniel sacrifices himself and becomes Zodiark? What? What? Yeah. I was flabbergasted when I saw this. Like, I did not expect us to fight, because then I was like, "Who is the end then? Like, what are we gonna go at the end? Where are we going with this story?"
Yeah, they did that with the story so many times for me, where I was like, "Okay, now what?" Yeah. Like, wasn't this what we were going for? Yeah, like the moon. I love the moon. I love the. I don't really care for the Lopper area so much. I just like being, on the moon area. I love the overworld theme for the moon specifically. It feels so ominous, but it does feel like you're in space. But it's like super nice and chill and soothing.
And then you get the moon dust weather, and you're like, oh man, this is kind of cool.
It's so cool. I love the moon. But yeah, fighting Zodiark at freaking level 83, I was like, wow, okay, this is so fast. Yeah. Isn't this a big bad guy? And then
it was a hard fight, dude. It was a hard fight.
It was a hard fight, but it's so cool. It's such a cool fight.
Yeah, they did an awesome job for that trial. It took us a good hour, I think, to beat it, because just like it was very late, and I think we had pretty much everybody that was new, because everybody's trying to go through it, and I loved it. What do you guys think? What do you think, Fee? What do you think about it?
I remember it being about 3 to 4 a.m. when we did it, and I was exhausted. I don't remember that fight. You could not ask me right now what happens during that fight, other than everything was spinning but not spinning, and you weren't moving but everything else was.
Oh my god, yeah, that's so what a big brain fight, dude.
Yeah.
And so I'm just gonna follow a person and hope for the best. And we did get through it, but no. I just want to say I love the Loprite so much. I think they're adorable. I screamed when I saw them. I was so excited. I'm just like, this is amazing. Sleeping Way, and then there's Pudding Way, who's just
what did you think of Pudding Way's burn against Urianger?
You know what?
Oh my god, Pudding Way is incredible. Yeah.
Urianger has no leg to stand on. He quite honestly, there were times during that story I could not read. There was just, I was trying to
Oh, that's right. You were reading everything.
It would just be me reading, I would be reading Schultz, I'd be reading Estinians, and then Urianger comes up, and I'm like, I'm just gonna give you guys 3 minutes to read what he's saying, because I am not gonna read this out loud.
I'm gonna put this through Google Translate really quick.
There's no way.
I never liked Urianger for that fee. I really did not like her. But I want to be honest though. The one moment in this entire expansion that made me cry the most was an Urianger moment.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that.
Oh,
we're
yeah.
gonna get
Yeah.
to
We will
that
get to
because
that,
yeah.
that moment broke all of us. That moment
Yeah.
broke
Can you,
all of us.
can you believe, Gino, that Urian J is younger than Thancred?
I can't believe that guy's younger than anybody, dude.
He's the youngest.
The way he
Other
talks.
than obviously the twins,
Yeah.
he's the youngest of the group. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He loves his books,
No.
man.
Yeah. Also, going to what like Harv was saying, there was a moment that I was doing a hunt train and someone was just like, can someone fly me somewhere here? And I'm like, yes, absolutely. I left my group. I'm like, Harv, invite me back when I'm finished. I go over on my whale mount, pick this person up, and I'm like, where do you need to go? And they're like, over here. And I'm like, they're like, thank you so much. It's so confusing. I'm like, I honestly would not be doing what you're doing right now without flying. So I flew them to the location. I'm like, any other stops you need? They're like, nope. And I'm like, have a good day. And I left. And I'm like,
Be the Uber driver.
yeah, no, I would happily stay on the moon just to help newbies out because that is a nightmare.
Yeah,
Like,
the moon sucks if you don't have flying.
yeah,
They're just traversing it.
it's pretty.
It
and
looks good.
I think the lop rates are cute. But
I-
the flying, no.
I had the other kind of love hate thing is like I like the skybox that the zone has. I like the out like again like what Gino was saying. I like the outside of it. Like I like the moon itself.
Yeah,
The whole Loprite stuff, like I could appreciate the Loprites. I felt like them trying to explain everything to us was just like, okay, I get it. I get it. I understand. You guys have carrots. You
Yeah.
have so many carrots.
There are Moogles. There are Moogles for every expansion. We have a useless.
These guys aren't
Moogle-type
useless though. These guys are these
Yeah.
are the
Well,
most
here's the
important
thing.
characters
This
there.
this is
They're probably the
information
most.
that they were given.
No.
This is the information. They were told that we were going to be like 10 feet tall, that we were going to just like be okay with carrots, that all they were trying to do was do their best. And for that reason, I cannot appreciate them enough because I thought at
Yeah, I
one point
love
they were
the
going to turn
Loprites.
evil. Like I was concerned that they were going to go crazy mode.
I
And
think we
kill
all,
all
yeah,
of
we
us.
all were, right?
Or like
we're
force
just
us all out, and there would be like, "You're now locked on the moon, and now we're all gonna leave." Like I was concerned about that, but no, all they want to do is help people, and I'm like, you know what?
Yeah, 'cause
Kudos
that's
to
how they were
you.
created. Yeah.
Yeah, could I also mention that at least at this point, story wise, up to at least the Zodiac part. Oh, I mean, even farther past the Zodiac part at this point, a lot of us were kind of on the bandwagon of that Heidelen was super evil, like secret evil, the
Yeah.
whole time. Yeah,
For a little
she was
bit,
she was our werewolf the whole time.
Well, I
Um,
think Harv and I thought she was evil because I made the dumb mistake of I saw someone on a mount, and one day I'm like, I'm gonna ask this person where they got this mount, and Harv's like, don't do it. I'm like, I'm going to do it. I
Just
DM
Heidelen
this
fight.
person.
Yeah.
And they're like, they're like Heidelen, like savage, and I'm like, thank you. And
Christ.
I
Yeah.
forgot that I had my
The
screen
one-
share on.
That was the
so
one thing
Harv
we
could
got.
see.
Yeah, I saw her screen, and then when he answered, I saw it. I was like, I fucking knew it.
Emotional
I
damage.
knew this was gonna happen.
Emotional damage.
So I think Harv and I had like this mutual, like we didn't say it out loud, but we had this mutual agreement that Heidelen must be fucking evil if she has her own like EX, like if she
Her own
has her own
primal
like
fight.
trial.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she had her own primal fight. Obviously, she turns evil because that's the only way for this to happen. And we're like, yeah, Heidelen. Like anytime anyone brought up Heidelen, Harv and I just like consensus just said nothing. We were just like,
Yeah.
That was the one thing that for us got spoiled in the
Yeah.
expansion was
Yeah.
Heidelen, yeah.
Yeah.
But that fighting
we
that-
knew Heidelen was going to be an issue that we had to kind of like deal with eventually, right? Because
Yeah.
in Shadowbringers, I mean, I was joking about it like back in ARR, like, oh man, we're gonna fight Heidelen one day because they're the god, and we're gonna become the Warrior of Darkness at some point. I thought it was gonna be right when we become the Warrior of Darkness, we're gonna fight Heidelen, but
Yeah.
that's back in ARR. You know what I mean? A lot of things changed then. But as soon as Emmett said that Heidelen was a primal and Zodiac was a primal, I knew very much then that we're gonna have to deal with Heidelen in some way because our whole goal as the Warrior of Light is to eradicate primals.
Yeah.
And if Heidelen's a primal, either either fighting her is part of the plan, or she doesn't expect us to fight her at all.
That's what I figured. I just didn't know how. Yeah.
Yeah. What were the steps, right, to get to her, kind of type thing? Yeah. I mean, I kind of afterwards, I kind of put two and two together. I was like, if we're gonna fight Zodiac, we're gonna have to fight Heidelen. That just makes sense now at this point. So us destroying Zodiark pretty much unleashes hell on Earth at this point.
Yeah,
And
Meteon, right?
No, we haven't got to the Meteon part yet.
The end of days.
Yeah, we got the end of days has begun.
Yeah, because we get the little moon thing and we hear like the little laughing, like a woman laughing, and we all thought it was Heidelen laughing.
Yeah, I do remember that.
First time we hear Meteon for a split second there.
So
damn, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, because we didn't know who that. Yeah, we didn't know who that was at that particular moment. Because I remember we all were like, "Who the fuck is laughing? Who the hell was that?"
Because the world for a second in our eyes turns like super just destroyed, and then you hear like laughing, and then I was like, "Oh shit, Heidelen's gonna show her true face now." It's like, nope.
So at this moment, we go back to Earth, to Aetheris, I guess they call it. That's what they call it. And Thavnir is getting screwed up. That the weather, the weather is Armageddon, and I don't know how you come back from the weather of Armageddon, but here we are. And we got.
You guys check the weather too?
Oh yeah,
I was like, what is
the weather app?
The weather in one of the last dungeons for the expert is projection. It's like, oh, okay. So that we go through this and we get this like crazy cutscene inside of Razathan of like people turning, people eating other people and stuff like that. Yeah, kind of reminds me. I just started watching AOT this weekend. It kind of reminds me of that. They're just like, eating people. And this is where the reveal comes that Vitra is the salt trap to everybody, and they finally they accept him, and we get the task. I think this is where we get the task of how do we figure out how to stop the end of days.
Yeah.
Right. What do we do to go to this to stop the end of days? How many of you guys thought we would have to go back to the first? I didn't at all.
No, I didn't think so either.
I felt like it was going to have to happen, like from capacity, because I don't, just because of the way that they were trying to tie in loose ends with like all the other expansions. I felt as though, okay, we at some point we're going to the first for like, even if it's for like a short period of time, whatever it might be. Did I think we were going to go back to the Crystarium and use that? Absolutely not. No, I didn't think that. But at least like the Crystal Tower. My apologies, not the Crystarium. But going back to the Crystal Tower, I was not expecting. But no, I felt as though at the end of the day that it made sense for us to go back.
We get there and we talk to Elidibus, who I love. Like, I love that voice actor so much, and just talking to him again just felt really good. And that's why I love the introduction of Pandemonium makes me really happy, because it is a story about Elidibus and like about that whole thing as well. So,
but his voice actor's not there.
Yeah,
biggest crime of that entire one.
Yeah, biggest crime of that one. Biggest crap of that, dude. Seriously. Yeah, go, Frank.
Oh yeah, no, I just wanted to mention one thing because we forgot about it, because it's a small little thing that happens on the moon before we leave, and that's Xenos shows up.
Oh, and Xenos at all?
Yeah. We forgot all about my boy Xenos. You know I gotta mention Xenos because he's my favorite. He's honestly my favorite part of this expansion.
Just like we forget about him during the story too.
Yeah.
Like we forget about.
He just kind of shows up. He just kind of shows up on the
like,
moon.
What's up,
he's
dudes?
just like, hey, I'm here. I just jumped in the Zodiark hole, and now I have a dragon arm. You want to fight, dude? And our character's just like, fuck off, Xenos, and he's just like, all right, I guess I'll just leave then. Bye.
Yeah, like honestly, like if you Google like who is the villain of Endwalker, they have Xenos. I'm like, absolutely no fucking way it's Xenos, because he's like literally the side character that keeps on coming in and is just like, I want to fight you, and then you're like, no, leave me alone, and he's just like, okay, but I'll be back, and I'm like, how?
He is so horny for our character.
He's so combat sexual, dude. Like, Jesus. Everything he says it has something to do with murder, but it's all sexual.
Also sexual.
But also sexual.
Is it murder or sex? Which one do you want? He's like, put them together, combine them together. It's like, oh.
I love him, dude. He I've told everybody in our Final Fantasy group, the reason I love him is because he represents all the kind of foil characters that I've learned to love over the years. Like, he legitimately is the Virgil to our Dante. Like, he is constantly there. He might have a redemption arc, who knows, but man, I just love that he's just like he is us, but just bad. You know what I mean? He's on our level. There's not a lot of characters in this game who are typically like actually on our level, and he's like there, but he's never actually granted the fight, which is I think hilarious.
One thing I will say about Xenos is like this character does not change, which I can respect. Like he is persistent.
No.
Like his writing is persistent. His voice acting is very persistent and or consistent. Sorry, consistent. And kudos to who wrote him, because like he always comes in, he's just like, yo, looks like you're busy right now, I'll come back later, like I'll come back in like, you know,
He does
in a
take
couple
the stage for when he shows up. Yeah,
in a couple days
If
I'll
I'm
come
not
back.
the center of attention for you, then I don't want to be part of this at all.
Yeah, especially at the end, it's like, is this your foe? Why are they still standing? What's going on here? Like why haven't you won yet?
Let's beat this dude's ass so we can fight already. Come on, like,
Oh
hurry
man.
up, chop chop.
But yeah, so we go back to Crystarium and we go to a place called Alpus, which is probably my favorite part of the entire expansion. Is this entire zone?
Yeah,
because we get Emmett Selk for one, we get him back, and we get a person that I did not think we were gonna get with Hythlodaeus. And finally seeing Hythlodaeus was so good. It was so good. And seeing those two dynamic together, like those two together, oh my god, it was like chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. Seeing those two characters interact with each other.
What a daddy that Hythlodaeus is, am I right?
Right?
Oh my God.
What an attractive man that guy.
Everybody apparently. I can see why Emmett Selk wanted to resunder the world, because it's just like, dude, like everybody was so attractive back then.
Oh yeah, for sure. But like Alpus was the wow moment for me, where we had only seen just the picture of like these islands or whatever, and I was like, it looks like the Sea of Clouds. What is this? And then we see our character react to it, and then they pan the camera over, and I'm like, holy shit, wow, dude, this place is crazy.
Yep.
It was that biggest wow moment for me in the story.
I had my jaw was dropped for like at least like 5-10 minutes, man. I was like, what is going on? Like I don't know what's happening, but it's so beautiful. I can't wait to see like where the story unfolds and where we're gonna go with this, because obviously we're in the past, right? So like we can't really change much, because that's a little bit's already said, you can't change anything when you're in the past. So going forward, like how is this all gonna interact with us? Because somehow it has to interact with us, because they know we're here at this point now.
Yeah.
So yeah, what did you think, Fee?
Well, one, I lost my mind when I saw Hythlodaeus, or the multiple variants that you gave Hythlodaeus, their name the entire time. Like,
oh yeah, I was like I could not say his name. I was like hydrothermal. I was like hydroplaning.
Yes.
I just couldn't. Hydrophone.
Like,
I could not say his name. I could not.
I'm like, okay, but then like when I saw Emmett Selk, for the love of Christ, no, there is a lot of screenshots that I currently have on my computer of both of these said characters, and it continued throughout our entire time throughout this. No, it was stunning. That is my favorite area in Endwalker for sure, like hands down. Like I never get bored of looking at it. Even going through hunt trains and like flying through that area, I'm like, this is the best area. Even though I know that people hate the like those particular and the islands, like the islands are kind of a pain in the butt, but I think what they put in when it came to like the actual area, the location, the like beauty of not even just like the beasts, but like the actual like location just makes up for it. And it is honestly still easier to traverse than some of the other locations in this expansion that are all connected on land in one area. So still, I really enjoyed it from start to finish, and being able to see how they lived way back was something that was really special, I think.
Yeah. What do you think, Frank?
I didn't think we were gonna get that much, honestly. I thought when Elidibus was explaining what we were gonna do, I knew we were gonna go like back to the past, but I didn't think we were gonna see Emmett. It was a chance we probably would see Hythlodaeus, because we were already thinking that like the dude on the moon was Hythlodaeus and stuff like that. So he was still kind of like fresh in our mind. but like we got so much lore out of this place and a whole area to explore. Like I didn't think it was going to be an explorable area like that.
Yeah.
But then once we saw like the title card, which was like a world unsundered Elpis, and it was just like, dude, we're here, we're in. We get to see, and there's little Easter eggs thrown in there if you've just been kind of paying attention to the story. Like if you did the missions that we did with the Eden stuff, right? You can see Gaia's character like in the background, just kind of chilling. You know what I mean? Like you see all the Ashians that we did actually fight. And if they had a face, they looked very similar to how they did back then. It was so cool just to kind of explore the Ashian world. You know what I mean? Before it was sundered, I didn't think we were going to get that opportunity.
Yeah, this area, Elpis, it's my favorite dungeon in the expansion, the Catisios hyper whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it. But that was my favorite dungeon, primarily because of the music and just how beautiful and how that dungeon specifically changes the areas of is that one, right? Yeah. You
go from like the inside of the area, they go to a snow place, and then you go into it keeps changing. Yeah,
it's so diverse, it's so cool, it's such a beautiful dungeon. That was my favorite one. But with the whole lore dump that we get in Elpis, and then finally seeing Emmett again, because he also narrates, right? Yep. Emmett is narrating.
Yeah.
So seeing him, and then the moment that you see him, and then where he sort of side eye looks at you, and then like that, the whole like storyline there, it's like you don't know who I am, but you sort of know me. You know who I feel like you know me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like knowing somebody, but you can't put your finger on it, kind of type thing.
Yeah, and it's like that sort of thing that just carried on throughout the whole thing. Where like that Emmett Selk, his intentions. He was going about it the wrong way, but his intentions were good. And that's why he's such a likable villain in Shadowbringers. And then seeing where he actually comes from here, and knowing, he was sort of like the cold kind of person, but like he still had good intentions always. And then like he just having that sort of feeling of connection with Emmett in a different way now, rather than just as a villain, but now as an ally.
Yeah.
Still getting that sort of Emmett Selk vibe with him.
Yeah.
That he's always had is just such a nice way of experiencing him again. I loved it.
Yeah, experiencing it in a different light, right? Which was really, really well done. And then we also see Vana up there as well, which was great. Seeing all of them together was really, really kind of a cool scene. Kind of a cool way to bring all the Ascians together. And this is where we meet Meteon and Hermes, who becomes Fandaniel. I didn't see it coming, but I should have saw this coming. Where Meteon, she's an empath. She's good. Like her mission is to see what other worlds are like, and at some point, other worlds are going to be either in good places or bad places. But an empath usually takes all of like the emotions. Yeah, they absorb other people's emotions. And at some point, I feel like I should have seen this coming, where she's going to turn evil because everybody suffers. There's so much suffering in the world. And her going through that process and just slowly kind of going through that process as you meet her and how shy she is and stuff. And then her turning into this one, like a person where she's just like, yeah, I have to free everybody of this despair.
Yeah. She's got to stop the cycle of people getting really uppity, finding perfection, and then dying out because there's really nothing left afterward.
Yeah.
One of my favorite dialogues of that place was her just naming all the worlds and how they perished and what happened to them.
Oh yeah.
It was so eerie to think about.
So creepy when she gets into that, like the way she's speaking, and then like she's all, the zoom in on her eyes while she's talking.
The fisheye lens on her eyes. Yeah.
Crazy.
So this is where we get into the Catesius Hyperborea, I think it's called. And then at the end of the dungeon, we get to the point where Hermes is going to re-alter people's minds. So Hythlodaeus and Emmett Selk won't remember. Well, everybody wouldn't be able to remember, but we obviously get out, and they won't be able to remember, and then they create a I guess it's like a portal in between, like where it's really like it's not as dense, I think, right?
Yeah.
Where you can manipulate the ether there and get Vana and yourself out of there. So yeah.
Which explains why, like, when we meet Emmett, he has no idea who we are. In Shadowbringers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, though apparently we look just like our friend Azim or Azem.
Azem.
Yeah, we look like Azem's familiar because we are a spitting image of them. Surprisingly, I was hoping we'd get some kind of like little small like reveal that like, you know, like just to see Azem in like a background or something like that talking to somebody. It's just our face, but like we didn't get to see anything like that, unfortunately.
Then we get a huge cutscene. So this cutscene is once we leave Alpus, we get this big cutscene here with Vana and the End of Days, of her killing all the people that were in that little congregation. So the way that I took the stuff afterwards was kind of like that. It kind of solidified to me that Heidelen was a good person. After this cutscene, it pretty much solidified to me that Heidelen is not a bad primal. She's a good primal. She's on our side the entire time because
she meant well.
Yeah, she meant well, and she takes all the hits for everything that happens to us. She takes every single one of the hits.
Yeah, that's her blessing, was her just being with us and taking all our hits the whole time.
Yeah, and going through that cutscene, man, that was an emotional cutscene. Cutscene.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because up to that point, like we would know the song Answers, right? And we would automatically kind of, whenever we hear Answers, we obviously, from at least I would say Stormblood on, associate that with just Heidelen, right? Because before it was a song mainly kind of about Bahamut and like Bahamut's little cataclysm that he was starting, but it started to slowly form into every time something big and mystical or the end of days was coming, it was Answers, right? And the whole idea of it, of just like, you know, what is the answer? What is the meaning? What is the meaning to all of this? Why are we dying? Why does the human race have to, or not the human race, but the people of we now know now as Aetheris, why are they meant to die? Why are they meant to suffer? Why do they have to deal with this day to day? And in that cutscene, with the music playing in the background, Heidelen herself giving you the answer to all of it. Of just like, perfection isn't the way to go. You know what I mean? You people are flawed, but you find a way to make the most of it. And it's that hope of like us putting our foot forward and keeping and trying, even though we know we're gonna die. We know that time is finite. That made her choose us instead of her own people. And that cutscene was so good because of that. It was just like, finally we got the answer from the person herself. And it totally, every time I listen to that song now, it totally changes the way I think of it. Because I think even the title of the actual mission is Live, Die, and Know, which is the final lyrics of the song. Thou must live, die, and know. And it's just like, oh my god, it's so fucking good. So good.
Yeah.
What do you think, Gino? What did you think about that part?
It's such a, you know, finally, you know, obviously realizing that, you know, because we had this sort of, you know, our character too in the back of our mind that Heidelen wasn't really well intentioned until that moment when you finally realize all of that and how she chooses, you know, us, and it's always been us, you know, sort of that sort of idea of it. It's just like, man, it's I don't know, it's such a huge payoff as well. Just, you know, finally figuring it out, and now everything is out in the open. Now we know everything. That's it. Like now we know what we need to do, what's gonna happen now, and everything, and what she is for us, and what we have to do now. It's like that sort of acceptance. It really is like they wrapped up the end of an 8-year arc so perfectly. I think like it wasn't unsatisfying at all. This was an extremely satisfying ending that, in a way, wasn't an entire surprise, but it was sort of like as unexpected as it was expected in a way, you know? And just finally having that answer, like Frank said, it's just so it's a relief that you can now move forward, and then we'll continue on with whatever we have to do now, you know?
Yeah.
So it was, yeah, what an incredible moment.
What do you think, Fee?
I don't think they could have done that any better. Like, just even analyzing it now, and at the time I was a mess. I was fucking crying. I was just
yeah, I don't think anybody came out of that scene dry at all, like in the eyes.
I honestly, like, from the moment we met, like, oh my god, Hythlodaeus, like way back in Shadowbringers. I know it's like I've essentially played it like a small bit of time in comparison to other people, but I like really thought that character was interesting, and being able to like build this relationship with both Hythlodaeus and with Emmett Selk, and then losing Emmett, like, at least for myself, I loved Emmett Selk's character from start to finish. I'm like, this is a story of someone who thinks that they're doing the right thing, and it kind of made even me kind of question like what the Warrior of Light was doing at the time, because it's just like, this is what we think is what's the right thing to do, but is it? Like, mind you, do I think killing half of like the entirety of the population is a good idea? No, but that's what he believed was right, because all he wanted to do is bring back the people that he loved and the people that he cared about and the people that he grew up with. And then him losing absolutely everybody, it would make everyone nuts. Like, if you were in that situation, I would imagine that people wouldn't act super rationally. And then having to like watch those characters like lose their memory completely, so like goodbye again, like that's another goodbye to Emmett Selk, like son of a bitch game. And then seeing Venat have to like rally the people without telling them exactly what's going to happen, because she knew what was going to happen, but she had to find a way to do it without making like to cause such a catalyst at the time, that she's just like, this is what has to happen. And yeah, we watched her kill mind you, I was just like, you guys are gonna die if you guys continue to argue this, and now you're just going to act like idiots. Okay, you're gonna try to ask for Zodiark's help. It's not gonna help. And then just seeing her like walk through the path and like constantly, like, it's not even just us, it's like everyone. She's been like fighting for like essentially at this point humanity, and even though she's been like consistently like bashed and bruised and like just covered in just like like theoretical filth, not actual filth, but just like the like grieving and despair and everything else, it was so well done. And that entirety of the scene, I was just dumbfounded. I don't even think I was able to even really say anything at the time, because I'm just like processing what was going on. And I think this team did such a phenomenal job. And even just this like small point, because obviously we knew that there was going to be a lot more to come, but that really put in perspective, like, and I can only imagine, and it's nice to hear from Gino, like someone who's played it for a very long time, that you finally get the answers. Like, it's finally kind of like that nod to like what everyone believed, or like at least like that confirmation. So goodness, it was so, oh god, I can't, like, there's some times when you like watch something and you're like, this was great, but there's like there's nothing they could have done differently there. It is insane.
It's a cool scene also to watch other people's reaction on, which is what I've been doing ever since we finished Endwalker, which is like going back and just watching people like Rich Campbell and all them talk, like watch, like play through these scenes, and everybody when they get to that scene, man, is an emotional wreck.
I mean,
absolutely destroyed.
That scene is something, and then the one I want to talk about is the one in fucking Labyrinthos. In the Charlotte and Hamlet, where we finally meet Moonbreeder's parents, and dude, that scene was okay. So there was one or two ways that I feel like the scene would have went. One where I thought they were going to be mad at Urianger, because she was like really mad, but she was just mad that she was just disappointed in him for not contacting her or even like keeping in touch while while everything that happened. And seeing Urianger in that way was something like it kind of makes you feel like, man, he's a young kid that just he like can't process these emotions because he just doesn't. He's young. He doesn't know how this works.
God.
Yeah, I open mouth cried that scene.
Yeah.
Open mouth cried, dude. And it's also the only scene that I've gone back to just look at just that one scene, and cry all over again for like it hits me the same every time because I nitpick at everything that is being said in that scene, and every single thing hits you differently. Like it's the one line that I think that stands out to me the most in that scene is where he says, I forget how he says it. Obviously, I can't recreate how the heck Urianji talks, but he says something like, all the books, all the poems, all the things I've read in the world, and I couldn't find the words to say to you guys. Like, that's like, wow, man. This
Especially coming from him.
Yeah, the guy that speaks so fine and classically or whatever, I don't know, and he doesn't know what to say. He doesn't know what to say. He always has words, but he doesn't know what to say there, and that just hits you so hard, man. And then like when you hear him, like you hear him break down. Hear him break down, obviously, and then that breaks you down too. And then it was a scene that I obviously didn't expect. My jaw dropped when Thancred said those are Moonbreeda's parents. I was like, oh shit, I didn't know that
because they talked about Moonbreeda at the start of the expansion.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Because they're going to a place where Moonbreeda's from Chilean. Mm-hmm. I did not expect the parents to be in this game. I did not expect that.
And then that's the other thing where I read the comments of like the videos of these that scene, and then like someone says that I think if you talk to her dad after, or her mom or something, they say that her name means something moon, like something related to the moon, and that's the connection with Urianji staying on the moon, and with the Laperids and stuff like that. Like this is like an arc for him specifically that I didn't see. Like that was the bow tie on his arc, and a character that I didn't like. I did not like Urianji just because of the way he talked. I did not like him. And then for that whole thing, the payoff at the end there, I was like, yeah, this is my favorite story in this expansion. This is my favorite arc. It was what a freaking scene, dude. My God.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch it after this, dude.
Urianji, like it's weird because like going back and just thinking about all the times Urianji has like sacrificed things, right? So when he was like a double agent, he lost somebody he legitimately loved. You know what I mean? Like, he had to like alienate himself from his friends and stuff like that. Everybody of the Scions, Urianji never got that moment of just like clarity and comeuppance of all the sacrifice, because he was always very much kind of just almost like Emmett Silk and the Ashians in a way, which is probably why it was so easy for him to infiltrate them, where it was very much the duty first, right? Emotions later, get the job done now, let's keep moving forward and getting everything done. And to finally see him break down and finally process the emotions that he's just been holding back this whole time. Because we see him definitely tear up and stuff like that when Moonbreeda does die and when he has to talk about them, but he never does it ever again. It's always, hey, no, now's not the time. We need to keep moving forward. We need to keep this job moving forward, and to finally sit down and have him process these emotions, especially in front of Moonbreeda's parents, is just like it was a straight punch to the gut.
It's been years, Frank. It's been years.
It's been years, damn it.
I remember when we first started playing, and I play like, as for people who are listening, I play a Femro. I play a female Rogadin. At the time when we first met Moonbreeda, I had the same exact haircut and we're the same height, and I'm like, oh my god. It's a Femro. It's like looking into a mirror because we almost look the same, and I'm like, oh my god, this is fantastic. Harv said nothing. Harv said fucking nothing. And I'm like, oh man, like this is so cool. It's just like Lumara Stromwind hanging out with like her cousin or something, and just like it then ends up where I think that was the first time I almost quit the game, because like I put myself on mute and I come back and I remember Mako saying, Fee, are you okay? And I'm like, fuck this game. I can't. Like, why? Why did they do this? And when they mention Moonbrita at the beginning of the expansion, I remember saying, if they fucking bring her parents in, I'm quitting. And then her parents come on the screen and I lose my, like, I just cried. I try not to cry completely on camera because I will like open mouth, like cry. And I'm just like, okay, you can cry, but not like full on tear, like go all full out. And then I talked to Moonbrita's dad after that scene. And I regretted every second of that. And I'm like holding it back. And I'm like, this is an ugly cry time because this is just, it hurts so much. And then seeing, like, you guys have already talked at length, so I'm not going to go into it full in details. Just seeing Oriange's reaction was just heartbreaking because you could tell how much it hurt him. And then, like, her parents saying, like, oh, like, we're just upset that you didn't contact us sooner because we knew that you were hurting. And I'm just like, I'm done with this. I can't. It's super late.
Oh.
I'm crying. And I'm just like, I can't. Why?
Yeah. I think they say something along the lines of just like, the thing that hurt the most was knowing that you were hurting just as much, if not more, than we were, and we couldn't do anything about it.
No, and we couldn't do it with you.
Like, we couldn't do it with him.
We couldn't mourn with him.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, dude.
Yeah, it's a straight one to the fucking gut.
Yeah.
Dude, I will say, great writing, great performances, fucking
phenomenal
from everybody. That I cannot say this enough for every expansion that comes up for this game. The performances in this game are insane. Like, they got the perfect voice actors. They convey their emotions so well with the words that they give them, and it's just like, it every time like a big scene like this happens, it hurts so much more.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna start blasting through this. All right, we're gonna start blasting through this. So the next big thing that happens is Heidelen. That is the next thing. We fight Heidelen. This fight was a lot of fun. And apparently Yoshi-P took over this fight for all the dialogue. He wanted every dialogue to be right for this entire fight because of how big this fight was going to be. Because, like, it's been 8 years of just knowing about Heidelen, who is Heidelen, and all that kind of stuff. And he wanted it to be perfect. He wanted it so the players could, like, experience what the fight was. And honestly, it did not disappoint. It was such a great fight. And just knowing that, like, I guess one of the things, like, I think Fee and I have went back and forth about this stuff where it was kind of like a lot of the, like, not a lot of the fights, but some of the fights are like trials, as in, like, you got to beat me if you want to go further kind of type things, you know, just to prove your worth. In my opinion, here it works because it's what it is. But, like, when you did it with, like, Ramu and shit, it's like, it's kind of like, it's not great. Way back in ARR, but I actually really enjoyed the premise of this fight and how they structured everything in this one.
Yeah, this is one of those fights that I cried during, because that's when I think it's halfway or something that each Scion starts showing up or something like that and gives you, I believe it's the Heidelen fight, right? Or,
yeah.
No, that's Meteon.
No, that's
Meteon fight?
No, that's Meteon is that's Meteon. You're talking about Meteon.
Yeah, Meteon's fight. That's the one. That's the Meteon. Heidelen specific. That's the one that plays Flow.
Yes.
I think so. That's freaking awesome, dude. But that's the Heidelen was actually my friend screwed it up for me because that fight I actually wanted to go. That's the first trial that you can go in with all the Scions because you see them all standing there. I took so many pictures there, man, because they're all standing there ready to fight her, right? Or is that Meteon again?
No. That is, you know, because I'm looking at Fee because she's giving us the side eye because we did the same thing to her as well. She wanted to do it. She wanted to do it with the press.
Thank you.
I was like, I'm alright. I'm gonna go in with all my friends, and then my friend like DM messages me, invite me, and I'm like, shit, okay, all right, I guess. And then we did the fight, and I was like, but I do want to go back and do it with them. I'm gonna go through because I have another character. I'm gonna go through the story with. And I'm gonna do that with them because they did it with them, and they said that it's cool seeing them interact with each other during this fight. So I definitely want to do that again. But yeah, that's such a what a crazy way to wrap that up there with Heidelen.
Yeah. What did you guys think, Fee, Frank? Frank, we'll go with you first, and then we'll go with Fee.
I knew this was coming. I think I called it very like in Shadowbringers, where it was the idea that what is Heidelen's grand scheme, right? And it was either A, we destroy Zodiark and we make it easier for her, more powerful for her to finally strike, or B, she was basically kind of training us to be good enough to take out Zodiark, and if we're good enough to take out Zodiark, we're also good enough to take her out, which is essentially what happens, because she's just like, hey, look, if you want the world to flourish as it is, instead of my grand basically plan B, you're gonna have to prove to me that you are as good as I think you are. Like, all my hope that was put into you was all worth it. And we basically have that fight of just like, yeah, this is the culmination of all of our strength that we've built up throughout all these expansions, finally fighting the thing that basically created us, and surpassing them. And it was nuts. It felt so cool. The music was amazing. The fight itself is pretty cool. The way she just looks like out of a painting. If you've ever seen the Final Fantasy 14 paintings of how Heidelen and Zodiark were, she looks straight out of a painting. It looks so good. Kind of reminds me of the Warrior of Light fight in Shadowbringers, because how he's very stylized and the way he looks and stuff like that. Apparently, if you've ever played Final Fantasy 1, he looks just like how he does in the art for that.
The cover art for it, yeah.
Yeah. Dude, that fight was so good. I was finally happy to see how exactly we fight Heidelen, and to know that it was kind of like a mutual, hey, we both know how this is going to end, but I need you to prove it to me to make sure that the world is in good hands.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. Yeah. What do you think, Fee?
I still kind of have the same feeling that I did about the whole, you need to fight me to show me you can do this. Okay, here's why. Okay. You've seen our resume, you know what we've been doing for the past 10 years at this point. But no, I think
let me go down my resume here.
You've been watching me the entire time. What have you been doing?
Let me list off the crazy shit I've been doing since ARR at this point.
No, I think it was a really great fight. And I think overall, out of all of the ones where you have to prove yourself, I think this one made the most sense. Mind you, I will admit there's a little small part of me who thinks that this fight shouldn't have happened, mostly because I'm not a huge fan of the whole, you need to fight me to prove that you can do this. I'm not a huge fan of those types of fights. As someone who's seen this also, in a copious amounts of anime, it's just one of those things you're just do we really need to do this? I get it, I understand, but at the same time, I don't know. It was just it's always been kind of I think out of the expansion, this was one of the fights where I'm just I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent about the fight. I think the fight overall is great. I think the story, the actual story beats and the actual interaction that you have with Heidelen is great. It's just I'm just not particularly a fan of that type of fight overall.
It's fair.
Yeah.
And this is also where she dies after the scene.
That's why I'm a little bit upset about it, because I'm every single time we have to show you guys we fight you and then you die. This happens every single time when we have to fight someone.
Yeah, we're too strong.
You're oh no, what were you expecting? Were you expecting to live? At that point you know that you're gonna die. Why are you?
Yeah.
I think she knew. I guess she knew that was part of. At some point, I guess that was part of her own plan in her mind, where she was supposed to die. I guess she knew that. So she wanted to be confident that we'd be able to finish it. I guess that's
finish the fight.
Makes the most sense that it was show me that you can do this or whatever,
Also, side note, if you really want to see someone's reaction to a specific fight, take Urianger in a trust to the Adioscope and tell me how that goes, because it is not good. It did not go well. He is depressed.
So yeah, in the Atioscope, you know, when you fight like Ilberd for the at the start, you have Papalimos staff that comes up that destroys everything. And then the second one is Moonbreeda's axe that just kills everything. And if you bring Urianger in, which feels like, I just want to know what his reaction is. I was like, you are an ass. How would you do that to him?
He's depressed the entire time. As a heads
I
up.
want to see Urianger have emotional damage.
Oh, that entire dungeon's emotional damage. He's just like, but does this truly have to happen? And then he like he has like this small little like thing that he says when he sees Moonbreeda's axe. I just completely forget it right now, but it is depressing. And I'm just sitting there doing this dungeon. I'm like, Harv, this was a mistake. I shouldn't have done this. This guy will not make it through this dungeon alive because he is depressed AF. Like, he is it wasn't even just like Moonbreeda. He was upset about the fact that you see like you get an essence of like Pompolimo, and you get to see all these like fallen comrades, and I'm like, this man is going to die.
Yeah, you see Hoshafont and Minfilia.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then he's just like, was it truly worth it to Minfilia? And I'm like, girl, like, whoo.
I mean, I'll be like, dude, you're the one that facilitated all of this.
Correct. Correct.
So okay, from now let's go into Ultima Thule. Let's go to the last zone. I just want to go through what your guys' favorite part of this story, of the story beat, is. I'm not gonna go through the entire stuff that happens in it. I just want to go what your favorite part of Ultima Thule is.
Chai.
What?
Chai.
Chai. Chi.
Oh, Chi. 15 more minutes, guys.
15 more minutes.
Oh, it's 15 more minutes on you guys. It's 5 more minutes for me.
Oh shit. Okay.
5 more minutes.
So yeah, I want to go around the table and talk to you guys about your guys' favorite part when it comes to Ultima Thule. One thing I will say, when everybody was sacrificing themselves at this particular moment, at like one by one, Urianger just popping up beside Y'shtola. It's like, yo, can I come? I was like, what the fuck?
This is just to speed it up so you don't have to stop one more time.
Yeah. Just take me with you, dude. It's fine.
I just remember him pulling us aside, and he's like, I'm gonna sacrifice myself. And I'm like, why? Why are you gonna do this? What, you idiot. Why? Like, you've done some stupid shit in the past like 5 expansions, and this is probably your crowning achievement. And then when he comes in, he's just like, I will go with you. I'm like,
okay, then Y'shtola is just like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna sacrifice myself right now. And the Jace is in the background, just like, well, I already made the speech. Might as well, right?
I guess
the moment where Thancred is, when he's not there anymore on the ship, and they say he sacrificed himself, I for a second thought was like, is that really it for Thancred? Then there's no way they could stop this character like that. Like,
it's too fast, right?
Again or something, yeah. And then around the second sacrifice, I was like, okay, so everyone's coming back then.
Exactly.
At the end of this, everyone's coming back. But the one sacrifice that came back again, freaking Grahatia. Yeah. No one how to make a speech, dude. He knows how to talk. He really knows how to make you cry, man. That guy. He like, oh my god.
I want to like, I'll come back and we'll do this again, right? And I'm like,
I hope so.
You don't need to leave.
So,
man. Like, come on, dude.
Graha knows how to make everybody just tear up, man.
What makes it even better, though, in my opinion, is that the writers know. The writers are self-evident of like that he keeps doing this, because Alize
around and just looks at you. And
then Alize is like, at least one time be with us till the end. Don't keep on fucking sacrificing yourself.
Stop dying, Graha.
Which was really, really cool to see.
I think like the one that like really hit me was Alize and Alphino, like at the very end, because she's just like, if we're gonna do this, like you could tell that she was like, she was being herself, and she's just like, if we're gonna sacrifice ourselves, we may as well go do it right now. Let's go. But then like, just at that part when it was happening, and they were like looking back at you, I'm just like, I'm dead. Like, I can honestly say, even after like everything, like Alize is like probably my favorite Ascian, hands down.
She's a Scion, not an Ascian.
No, Ascian. Oh my God.
Imagine if she was an
Gaia is
Ascian.
Scion. She's a Scion. See anyway, my favorite Scion. So I was really upset when it ended for her. But then I think one of my favorite parts was when freaking Warrior of Light just like presses the button and drops the remote, and then Aliza's is like, no, and you just like look up at her and smile as you send all of them
Oh
back
my
to
god,
the ship.
yeah, so
And she
cool.
was so upset, and I'm like, you sly motherfucker, the Warrior of Light, just doing that.
What a badass. There was so many let's go moments in this expansion too.
Yeah.
With like that specifically and stuff like that. And Ultima Thule, something that was brought that I feel dumb that I didn't notice was every time someone sacrificed themselves, more of the music came in. Yeah. And then and then that last part where you're walking with Alice and Alphino up to like the crystal or whatever, the ice or something, the whole music is in full swing, and then it's so cool. And then that moment where they're gonna sacrifice themselves, it gives you the dialogue option where my dialogue option was like, nah, I can't do this anymore. Like you guys like stop. Like that was like, I don't know what you guys chose, but I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like at that moment, that's how I felt.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I forgot about that moment where you make them all go away and for you to fight at the end. That's so cool. What a cool moment that was.
What about you, Frank? What's your favorite part of the Thule?
Honestly, the Grahatia part. It was so cool. It was just the character really knows how to just like give you dialogue that'll just tug at your heartstrings, because he's honestly like your biggest fan. You know, he's the biggest fan of Warrior Light, and this game, it does a very good job at remembering who the Warrior of Light is. You know what I mean? They don't like forget that you've killed gods at this point. They don't forget that. And Grahatia is the constant reminder of your actions, of like, you know, the stories that you've built in this world. And to hear him like talk and be like, hey, yo, look, I'm going to sacrifice myself for the greater good. I know you can handle this, but when I get back, man, we're going to have an adventure finally once all this is over. And it just like, it just hurts. It hurts every time.
Oh my gosh.
But I do have a favorite moment, but we haven't got there yet.
No, we haven't got to that point yet. But yeah, I think my biggest moment is, I mean, if you would count the ending part of it with when Emmett Selk and Hythlodaeus come into the fold, and it's like the final curtain kind of type thing. Like they make it like it's like they're the audience watching this play unfold, and then they get called on to do one last act, and like that whole Elpis flower field coming in and just trying to hit that mark with Meteon and trying to get that one side of her out, which they do, but the other side is just so overpowering that it ignores like the emotion, the other emotional side of her.
I really appreciate that scene, especially when the fact that like when they tell us that they remember everything now. They remember beyond like getting their mind erased from everything. And then Emmett Selk says, I wouldn't have done anything different, to kind of solidify like I would not have like the actions that I did afterwards, which included like, was it his idea to like almost like completely wipe out half of the earth, like the realms? Sure, but he still sticks by that. So it's kind of nice to see that he kind of sticks by what he was going to do anyway, because that's what he at the time and still believes is what was the right thing to do.
Yeah,
it was a cool scene too, because like we're at least up to that point we're led to believe that it was really kind of 100% a one-way trip for our friends, because we only really had one trump card, and that was like the Zem stone that Heidelen had blessed with a power, right? And at that time we get there, we're just like, okay, it's either A, we use this to help Meteon kind of come back to the good side, or B, I bring my friends back. And it was a one-way trip there. And when Emmett Selk just like looks at you and just goes, all right, well, that situation's out of the way, I fixed it, go ahead and use that stone to bring your friends back. It's just like,
oh no, he's the one who brings them back.
Oh, he brings them back.
Back, yeah.
But it's just like, Thank you. Like I thought we legit would have to like choose the world over our friends in a way.
God,
which we technically do.
Yeah, that would have been a horrible thing. But then we get to the last three things of this game, of this expansion. We got Dead Ends, which is a dungeon, which is a great dungeon. It's great to go see all three, like the different worlds there was that kind of just went to this calamitous kind of thing that kind of destroyed themselves.
Yeah.
Number 2 is the End Singer Trial. Coming in is our number one fan. Our number one fucking fan. Coming in hot. Xenos.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So
what the fuck?
I love this so much.
So people were, I think Frank was set, because like there was a scene that set it up in Old Charlatan where everybody's looking up in the sky, and some dude runs into Karl. He's like, somebody's here to see you. And then Karl looks over. He's like, "Oh my god!"
You hear the clinking of Xeno's boots.
I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I didn't do that. I didn't put 2 and 2 together. At that particular moment.
Yeah.
And then he breaks the wall as Shinryu, and you're just like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Hell yeah, dude!
What a let's go moment again, dude. Like that whole thing is just like, oh my god.
From the fucking beginning of this expansion, I was saying that Xenos is going to fight with us side by side against whatever the fucking end boss is. We're gonna join forces with Xenos to fight the last thing. And when he showed up at the end, I just screamed. I was like, yes, yes.
So people have taken this. This is the most divisive part of this expansion is the Xenos variable. Yeah, which I've seen on both. Like I've seen both sides of it. Of like, he feels like he's either shoehorned into this whole situation, or it's one of those moments where like this is the perfect time to put him, because like he is traveling to the ends of the universe, to the edge of creation, to come and fight you, because that's what his goal. He wants to fight you. That's his life's work. That's his life's like meaning, is to fight you.
Yeah,
and
he knows you're in trouble too at that point. So he's just like, okay, maybe I'll just go help him a little bit.
I mean, he comes in. He's like, well, this is Despair. Why isn't this dead yet? Like, why haven't you killed Despair? Then when he goes down and you ride on top of him, and you get the SM crystal, and that music starts, that fucking medley of every primal, Stormblood, Heaven's Ward, fucking Shadowbringers medley all together.
Gosh, man,
it's just like, come on, man, come on.
So Xenos throughout this whole thing, there was one point where I was like in the middle of the story, and I was like, what is Xenos's thing here? And then I saw someone on Twitter say, I hate Xenos so much. So I thought in that moment, I was like, oh shit, what makes you hate Xenos so much? Is he gonna kill someone so that we do want to fight him? Like that's what I thought he was gonna do, is kill someone so that we would want to fight him because we hadn't wanted to. But at the end of it, God, what a freak, like just that like, him showing up, that was just one of I was just like Frank. I was like, this is so freaking awesome, dude. And then just the primal, like not like primal like the bosses, but like such a primal fight that you have with him at the end, like where it's just no weapons anymore. This is just
it's anime as fuck. Anime as fuck.
So cool, man. I was like, I didn't want to fight him. I didn't like. I just finished, killing, saving the entire world. I don't want to fight you now, Xenos. Like, why do we have to do this?
Yeah,
like, and that's what I told him. I was like, I'm not. I don't want to fight you or whatever. And then we go into another freaking duty, and I'm like, okay, all right, well.
Yeah.
Well, so I don't know if you've
such a payoff.
I don't know if you've ever played any of the Final Fantasy games before this. Have you jumped in any other Final Fantasy games?
Just in like 7. I'm not really into like I haven't played most of them.
So one of their tropes that they have is that they have an end boss that is the penultimate boss is the hardest boss, right? Mm-hmm. So in this case, it would be Endsinger, like she's the hardest boss. Yeah. And then the last boss is a more of like a either not a meme one, but like more like a satisfying, like fan service satisfying fight. And that's exactly what they did in this game. It's they just because like you can't lose that last fight. I don't know if you can actually lose that fight.
You can if you expend all those little you get it's very hard not to win it because you get the technically 7 lives. I don't think I expended 1 the whole fight, so I saw Zepla, for example, expend like 5. So I think it is possible to die if you expend them all, but like
it could be really bad.
Yeah, it could be really bad.
Be really not paying attention in order to.
But
to lose
like,
that one.
the fight was like it was crazy. It was intense. It was just like it just kind of. He just kept on throwing his shroud at you when he like got into like that shroud form. It was really really cool to see that.
What a battle for the ages. Dude.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
And I love this is fucking one of these, dude. Yes,
it's like Goku and Vegeta.
Goku and Vegeta it's that fight. Like the whole time I seen Xenos, like I said earlier, I was attributing it to Devil May Cry. Of like, you know, Dante and Virgil. And if you're familiar with those games, every time Virgil is in a game and he's a fightable character, it's usually ending in a 1v1 fight, circle arena, just you and Virgil, no holds barred. Everybody, like, it's just an insane 1v1 fight, and they're always really well done. So when I saw Xenos, we're gonna fight him. Oh, by the way, best dialogue option in the game when he tells you like, hey, I know you're the warrior of light and a hero, but deep down inside, you like fighting things. You love the thrill of the hunt and you love the challenge. And you get the dialogue option. The first one is just like, I can't say you're wrong. And your character just smiles at him. And he's just like, finally, acceptance. You accept me. It's so good. And the 1v1 fight, it's circle arena. It's probably the most Devil May Cry thing I could ask for. And it was the best moment of this game, of this expansion for me. And I know people don't like Xenos because of it. I know some people were very mad because you can't deny him at that moment. But I'm just like, imagine if you denied him. Imagine. It wouldn't have been a bit
you would have missed, yeah.
You
would have missed so much.
You went to the ends of the world. What do you think, Fee?
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I am a part of the 5 Death Club. I died, I fell 5 times doing that fight. Because it was 4 a.m. in the morning. So I was incredibly tired. I was just like, I don't even know what's happening anymore. And then so I kept on dying. I'm like, I'm probably going to hit a limit at some point. So I think I hit 5. But this fight, what a guy. He does so many things just to come to the end of the universe to be able to fight us one last time. And then I will be honest, I didn't agree. I said that, you're not leaving here alive because at this point, you have met your time and this is definitely it. Mind you, will I miss our booty boy? Absolutely. Because that guy,
big juicy boy.
that man. No, it was a really good fight. I think it was really well done. And just being able to see kind of the story beats throughout it as well, and then the ending portions where it was just you look at each other and it's almost as if you would say a sunrise, but it was just essentially the end of infinity. Just you and him fighting. Cool. And it was the best way because he's just you have no more distractions. You've got away from me multiple times this entire expansion, and now we're gonna have this fight right here. So I think it was a good way to end it for him. Mind you, I don't think this is the end for Xenos. Mm-hmm. He is gonna come back in some way, shape, or form.
They didn't confirm he died, right?
All of our friends think he's dead.
Yeah,
he's not dead.
Because at the end we were both fucked up. He fucked us up too.
He stopped. People are like, well, he stops breathing, and I'm like, yeah, but he slit his own throat and fell down a cliff.
Yeah,
okay,
he
stopped breathing a bunch of times. And my thing is, there's no aether dissipation. He doesn't burst into aether like everybody who is super died. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't think it's the last time we see him. He's gonna get a redemption arc. We're gonna be friends by the end of all this.
Yeah, no.
I hope so, dude. Because that was what a fight, dude.
Yeah. No, I don't. Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to give a shout out to is after the end singer fight, when you're with Meteon, Flo starts playing and she's talking to you. That song always brings me tears every single time.
Yeah, the song is incredible.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Right now,
yeah.
I was scrolling through TikTok the other day and someone put you and Meteon running together, and with Hermes saying I'm sorry I never taught you how to run, but there will be someone who like shows you all this, and it's you and Meteon running together, and I'm like, I'm fucking done. Like,
Damn, I'm not on Final Fantasy TikTok. I gotta be on.
oh man,
Final
I
Fantasy
am
TikTok's
on it.
a
I am
heart tugger.
1000% on this, and
Yeah.
it's that and Attack on Titan. It's just a mixture of that recently, and it's heartbreaking.
And yeah, with that, and then we get back. I guess we didn't go through the Endstinger fight, but the Endstinger fight was fucking awesome, especially with all the Scions coming in and helping you at the end. There, it was just like like the mechanics of the fight just makes me excited for Extreme Primal for that fight that we're gonna get in 6.1. I'm really excited to see what they do with that fight.
I also got incredibly emotional when like you just hear like Alphino and Alize like yelling for you because you're like obviously passed out, and this is when we got to see a number of cutscenes. And then like you finally wake up, and then you just see everyone's face, and like Alize just like starts bawling because she's just like, you're alive, and I'm like, it's so sad.
Yeah.
And then we go back. Everything is right in the world, and then we're back and then we do this all memory lane stuff because we know this is the end, and we go back to Mordona. We go back to the Rising Stones, and we talk to everybody one last time, and then you have a staring contest with fucking Asinian for like 30 seconds.
Looked at me and I looked at him.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting told at that point that the Scions are disbanding, or quote unquote, so they will tell everybody.
And and you are not the Warrior of Light anymore.
That's it. You're just an adventurer.
You're just an adventurer now.
You're technically, I think our new title is what, the Champion of Etheris? I think the wiki's been like updated with a new title now that we're referred to as.
I think they did mention that to us at one point.
Yeah.
Now we know the world's name isn't Heidelen, it's Etheris, and we're the champion of the world. So I guess we're the champion of Etheris now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and now, no, there's no Heidelen anymore, no Zodiark anymore.
No.
Man, I can't wait
No
to
Ashiman
first and be like, this is what happened. Like, nothing happened here.
Oh, one thing we forgot to mention. One quick thing during the Hythlodaeus and Emmet part where they get brought back with Meteon. There's a part where Emmet Selk looks at you and just like, hey, this isn't the end of your road. Have you done this? Have you been here?
This is where I was gonna get to now. This is where I was gonna get to is
we didn't mention that.
Yeah.
Okay. There was wait, hold on. To add to that, wasn't there one part where Vina asks you, was your journey good?
Yeah,
or something like
at the
that?
end, yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
dude,
because
did you find,
in Elpis, she says, "I'm gonna ask you the question. At some point, I'm gonna ask you the question." And you're like, what question is that? Like, what? And then when you fight her, and you at the very end when you actually kill her, he's like, and then she asks you, was your journey worth it? And you're just like, fuck yeah, it was, dude. Fuck yeah,
Xenos too. Xenos' final words was just like, did you find fulfillment in this life?
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I mean?
Yoshi-P talking to us, man. That's what it is.
Yeah. Fucking 8 years of it. It was worth it, all right? It was worth it. So we're still here. So what I want to end this on is we're going to get a new MSQ in April, probably, right? End of March, start of April. We're going to get 6.1, which is going to be starting up a new story. Where do you think or want this story to go to now? Like, if you had a choice between one of the things, because I know Emmett Selk was talking about Mericidia, which is like the most southern part. There are the other shards as well. I think there's like 5 shards left or something like that.
Yeah, that you can mention at the end too.
Yeah, those shards that are left. Where do you guys think that we're gonna go? Let's start with Frank first.
So I think I'm the only one here who's probably been a little bit spoiled on this, just because I've just been kind of listening to what Yoshi-P saying every time he comes out. I know 2 things. One, that this isn't the last time we're seeing Emmett Selk. He's already confirmed that Emmett Selk is a character that is going to basically return in some way, whether that be a flashback, whether that be an actual character that we talk to, is up in the air, but he's returning. And then the second one, I'm just trying to think what the second one was. The second one was that the next piece of story is going to be very much on the nose in terms of what the content is based on like the name of it. So he's already confirmed that like once you see the story names, you'll know exactly what's going on.
Didn't he also mention something about it's gonna be a lot of Kryle?
Yeah.
I think he mentioned
and then a
something
lot
like
of Kryle. So
Yeah.
I would imagine we're just gonna buddy cop with Kryle for a little bit. I imagine Kryle and Graha. Yeah. Kryle
they
and
were
Graha.
together, right? They went off together, I think, at the end there.
Yeah.
We're gonna get our grand adventure with Graha, or somewhat of a grand adventure
We have
with
to.
Graha.
I mean, we have to because that's what he's been saying for 2
Yeah.
expansions.
Yeah, he's
now,
been
so-
saying this right. He just wants to go on an adventure, guys. Come on.
Man's been waiting for an adventure. Alfie got one. Alize got one. We got one with the Stanian. We got one basically every scion except for Graha. Time for everyone's favorite cat boy to get his adventure with his favorite warrior of light.
What makes me sad about that specifically is the Scions disbanding specifically is when are we gonna see all of them again? Or when are we gonna see them together again?
Yeah.
Like I love Ishtola so much, but I know that she can handle herself. She's never gonna need any help from us, dude. You know what I mean? So it's like when is it gonna make sense to see her again?
Yeah.
'Cause
How where in the plot are we gonna bring them back?
Like I'm hoping we see a time skip.
I'm
hoping we see a good. Oh yeah, probably. I'm still hoping for a time skip for all these characters. I hope that like with this next new expansion that would come out eventually, that we just kind of let these characters kind of fester for a little bit. You know what I mean? Give them some time to kind of do their own thing, and then we have our obvious Avengers moment where we all come back together and fight whatever fight we have to fight now.
Yeah, I would hope so. Yeah.
What about you, Fee? Where do you think the story is gonna go?
Honestly, when Emmett Silk started talking about the different locations, it reminded me a lot of. I know I keep on referencing things, but it reminded me a lot of Game of Thrones because obviously when we see Game of Thrones, they only show like a small portion. But if you decide to get into the Game of Thrones lore, like there's a massive world out there. There's areas that like you can't even go into because it's of toxic air and the creatures there are absolutely apparently like obscenely and stuff like that. And just being able to kind of gave me that kind of vibe of like there's so much to explore and you need to go out and adventure, like to be able to go out and experience it. So I'm really hoping that we get to see a lot more of those locations, even if it might be like Kryle and Grahad have to go to a new location. Maybe they're stationed at one of the places that Emmett Selk mentioned, or whatever that might be. I just want to be able to see more areas because that's all I really want to do. Is like exploration is like always really fun. And being able to see a new location for the first time is really what I want to see. But no, I think that over like the next at least like the patches that we see, we might do like here's one with Graha and Kryle, and then the next one might be with Estinian or with Orianger.
They might do it patch by patch, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's that way, and then like at the end, there might be something that happens where we all have to come back at the very end before the next expansion.
Yeah, before 7.0.
I'm also sort of hoping that up until 7.0, it like not that I don't want it to be intense, but not as high stakes as this.
Yeah.
Like I want it to feel like we're just an adventurer now and we're adventuring. That's what we're doing. I feel like that would be a nice little, sort of a different kind of pace from.
I want it kind of like what Heaven's Ward does, where everything is enclosed in that area, and really all the stuff that's happening only affects that area. Right? The stuff in Heaven's Ward really doesn't affect the stuff in ARR. It's like the same thing with Stormblood, right? Stormblood's the same way too.
It was just like those nations, and
yeah.
Stuff like
it's
that.
like nothing really happens in like Ul'dah. It's mostly everything that's happening in Kugane and like those areas and stuff like that. I kind of want that to happen. Where I want this story to go now is Mericidia. I want to go to Mericidia because we've been talking about Mericidia for so fucking long. Right? Yeah, for so long we've been talking about this place. Ever since the Coils of Bahamut, we've been talking about Mericidia. Yeah, sure. So that's the next place I want to. I want to stay on the source and go over there and go explore that area.
Corvo as well, where Grahatia is from.
Yeah,
that's another place that was mentioned here that we haven't seen. So there's places that have been mentioned that we haven't seen. So I assume we're going to.
At some point, we'll probably hit the other shards. Like that's gonna happen.
Definitely.
They want a 10-year fucking thing out of this game, so we're gonna go somewhere.
Yeah,
we're gonna go somewhere.
Yoshi-P did mention in like the recent interview that they are like experimenting on different ways to tell the story, like different like avenues in terms of like choices for the player. Like your choices actually mattering in terms of like, you know, how it progresses the story, as well as having more kind of interactions with the NPCs in terms of just like being able to hang out with them and stuff like that. So I'm kind of curious of like, now that the big overlooming end of days is over, how we can start kind of more interacting with the characters more than just like, hey, we only really talk when the world's about to end.
That's true.
Let's actually like, you know, be able to like, you know, hang out and like, you know, enjoy things, I guess.
Which they tried to do that a lot this expansion too, though. Like after every moment, they were like, "Hey, you should probably sleep." Like, like which is something we didn't do before.
Honestly, some of the coolest moments ever, especially the moment in the hotel, or not the hotel, or just in your inn, where you there's a knock at the door and you get to choose which character is at the door. Like stuff like I chose Alizé. It made the most sense to me.
That's like I chose Alizé as well.
No, we all chose Alizé.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I chose Y'shtola.
Y'shtola, nice. And they're all voice acted apparently. So you can go through all of them. Yeah, you can go through all of them.
I went and watched all of them. Yep, they're all voice acted.
Which is awesome, which is a cool thing.
And they do like cool experimental stuff, that and like, you know, the follow system that they have in this expansion, you know, being able to give you more kind of dialogue with the NPCs that you're with, instead of them just being like just T-pose static people just with the little marker over their head.
Also, it confirmed that Alizé is my favorite scion because she takes pickles off of her burger and then puts it on Graha Tea's plate because she's like, fuck pickles. I hate pickles. For that reason, I understand. And I love the fact that like Graha eats the burger and then finishes his food and then looks down and is like, wait, where'd the pickles come from? And I'm like, I've done that before.
What a great looking burger too.
Yeah, I know, right?
Great looking burger.
They put all their money into that animation.
Imagine like all that money on the burger and the grapes still look like they do. No, I don't even care if the next expansion is just a whole expansion of them just interacting with each other. That like I really just want to see the Scions just chill and hang out with each other more and just kind of talk about like either the future or just reminisce in the past, or even just like start a new adventure. Just have them actually do stuff together, like they did in this expansion.
Fishing. There we go.
Oh, there we go. Bam.
Yoshi. There we go. Just an entire expansion about fishing.
Yeah.
So as we conclude the story now, as we conclude the podcast, this was one of the best experiences that I've had in a video game. The Endwalker, not the Shadowbringer story, was one of the best stories I've ever actually like experienced in a game before, from start to finish, and Endwalker has surpassed it, which is saying something. And there's a tall bar they have now, but I think with the writing team that they have and like the resources they have, they can do it. I'm sure they can do it.
Oh sure.
The possibilities are infinite at this point.
Yeah. All right.
I can't wait,
dude. I cannot wait. I can't wait till 6.1. We're gonna see live letters. I think at the end of February, we're gonna see what's gonna be coming up in 6.1. We got a new 24-man raid that's coming. We got Ultimate coming at some point. We got Island Sanctuary, and we got MSQ as well. So 6.1 is gonna be a meaty patch. And then also job changes are also coming up at 6.1. So
heck yeah.
But yeah, that's it for us. Thank you guys so much for watching. Gino, thank you for joining the podcast. I know we're over time by quite a bit, but I appreciate you sticking it out with us. I really, really do.
Thank you for having me, guys.
I'm gonna go for being here, man. I'm gonna go around the horn here. Frank, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at Twitch at Kestrel1A, where I talk shit about video games. You can find me here at Point in Progress and Fantasy in Progress, where I talk shit about very specific games with my friends.
There we go. Excellent. B, where can everybody find you?
People can find me here, also on twitch.tv/Zeranix, where I plan on doing a lot more art streams and playing other games other than Final Fantasy 14, but let's be honest, it's probably going to be just art in Final Fantasy 14.
Fantasy 14 art?
Oh.
Mix them together.
Just a bunch of Amric and
Amric, Gratia,
Emitzel.
Heidelen. Well, there you go.
Oh, baby.
Yeah.
What a squad.
And then,
What a squad right there.
Just the entire squad. Why not? Also, you can find me over on the Game Source Network on YouTube every other Tuesday, where I talk about Stadia with two of my friends on Speaking of Stadia. And then every other Thursday, so next Thursday, you can find me over on Penultimate Conquest, twitch.tv/Penultimate Conquest, where we are talking about Attack on Titan Season 4 Part 2 at length. I'm doing the recaps like I did last season, and it is a lot to unpack. So if you've watched it and you are cool with listening to a bunch of spoilers and us talking about how much we don't like certain things, or what we like, or what makes us upset, definitely check us out over there.
Excellent. Gino, where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me over on Twitter at Gino_Viteri, and you can also find my podcast at The Whatnots on Twitter and your podcast service of choice. We're on Bumble, we're on Tinder, we're on everything. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So you can
Sometimes when you're swiping, you just need to listen to a podcast.
Exactly. So I got a gaming podcast right over there, and you also can find me on Twitch specifically at GinoVii.
Heck.
There you go.
Yes, heck yes. You can find me here at Point in Progress, Beard in the Hair pretty much everywhere except YouTube's Beard in the Hair Gaming, where I have a weekly show over there for all the news and stuff like that. And my Endwalker review will be out soon, which I'm just going to go over everything that I loved about it, some things that I didn't like about it. All that is going to be up on Twitter, on youtube.com/Beard in the Hair Gaming. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching episode 10 of Fantasy in Progress. We're back. We're gonna be back again next week with episode 11. I think we're gonna be talking more about raids. I think next week we're gonna talk about the Pandemonium raid, story about it, and then also just kind of how we're feeling about the raid itself. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me. Thank you guys so much for listening, wherever you guys are. I hope you guys all have a fantastic day and a fantastic night. Bye, guys. Heck yes.